Welcome to the Select Board meeting of Tuesday, December 16th, 2025. Let's do a quick roll call to open the meeting.
Arnold here.
Modell here.
Snell here.
Viola here. And Select Board Member Stevens will not be joining us tonight. Let me quickly run through the agenda and then we'll get right into it since we're already a few minutes behind. We're going to open with community input followed by volunteer appointments. Followed by the FY27 budget presentation. That's a joint meeting with the Finance Committee. Following that, at 8 p.m., Cranberry Bog House discussion, a joint meeting with the Affordable Housing Trust, followed by a DPW building discussion focused on a proposed committee charter. At 8:50, we're going to revise or discuss and potentially vote on revising the committee creation and appointment policy, followed by an additional employee health insurance option presentation, followed by a quick overview of how we're going to attack the remaining personnel policies that need our consideration and attack. Well, how we're going to approach that process just to, okay. At 9:40, we're going to review some amended language on the TA bylaw. Some language changes came back that we will review from the legislature, followed by the TA report, review of warrants and minutes, liaison reports, close with community input. So with that, let me open it up to community input. Does anyone in the room have any community input they want to provide? Seeing some head shakes, no. Does anyone online have any community input they want to make at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to volunteer appointments. We have one appointment tonight for consideration,
Jerry.
and that's Jerry Lerman as the MFC, the Municipal Facilities Committee Representative to the Fire Station Building Renovation Committee. Does anyone want to speak to that or make the motion?
I can make the motion. I move that we appoint Jerome Lerman as the Municipal Facilities Committee Representative to the Fire Station Building Renovation Committee.
Second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion or deliberation?
I think it'll be great.
Seeing none, let's do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And I will note we still have one open seat on that committee. So if anyone's interested or know anyone who's interested in serving on the Fire Station Building Committee, please submit a volunteer application.
So that would be as an
As an
at-large
at-large
community
member,
resident.
yeah.
Great.
Yep.
Okay.
So anyone can serve on that. Any resident can serve on that. All right. Moving on, we're right into the budget presentation. So this is going to be a joint meeting with FinCom. So James, do you want to bring your meeting to order?
Sure. I'd like to open the Finance Committee joint meeting with a roll call.
Bernstein here.
I think, Mark, I can't really hear James,
You
but
guys
want-
around
let's
here.
move
Yeah,
up.
please
Sorry.
come up to the table.
Forgot
Thank
about
you.
that. Thank you. Bernstein here.
Is that-
Around here.
Catachio here. Delia here. Liang here.
Over here.
Can you hear us okay now, Nathan?
Or can you hear me
Yes.
okay, Nathan?
Yep, much better. Thank you.
Great.
Good to go?
We're good to go.
All right, just to remind the Finance Committee and the Board, tonight's budget draft one is a work between Kelly and I and all the department staff. We gave out guidance based off the financial forecast and the capital planning work we did. You remember all that work we did this fall. That guidance instructed departments to essentially zero increase their budgets unless there was something that they needed to for operational purposes. So less than a level services budget, a zeroed out budget. I'm happy to report that all the departments complied with this request, and then they submitted 1% cut narratives to the Finance Committee through their liaisons for their review at their marathon meetings. So this is a compilation of all of those budget drafts, put everything in context with some background information for you and the public to digest. Of course, I can answer any questions as we go along.
I would note in January, the Finance Committee will be meeting with the departments. That's January
Oh, gosh, I should know off the top of my head.
14th.
14, 15.
14,
14th and
15.
15th.
Thank you.
And that's your opportunity to ask questions of the departments as you formulate your budget recommendation.
Correct. Yep. Thank you, Scott.
And I should mention, I have Kelly, our budget managers here as well, to answer any questions, detailed information that you might want to grab. And again, cannot thank her enough for all the work she did. So we put together this document here.
And Ryan, in terms of the select board tonight, this is more informational, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there'll be no budget decisions tonight, but certainly a lot of information to digest. So this will become a public workbook that we give to the Finance Committee. Just giving you the background work for all of this. So all the department requests were put into a draft one line with the increases. I have a much more concise presentation to give you. I'm just showing you the background work. We forecasted the revenue. We analyzed the levy. This significant debt document shows all the things that we're considering and doing with debt that we've talked about. And then there's tabs for reserves and warrant articles. So this will be view only for the public. It'll be view only for the Finance Committee. They can download a copy of this and anybody can look into it and play with it. The official seat is carried by Kelly and I just to protect it. All right, so into the presentation. This will be a public.
Presentation, what you sent around a little bit.
Just sent it to you, yep, the PDF documents for you to look on. We wanted the most up-to-date information possible, so we were working on this today. So it is a draft one of the budget. We feel like it's pretty complete for where we are at right now, which is that department request. So we'll start with just a simple introduction. It proposes a 6.58% increase in the operating budget, which is estimated to be a 6.91% increase in the average tax bill. And the sections we're going to go through here with you are revenues, expenses, debt, the tax impact, the capital plan, any proposed warrant articles that we've received so far, where we are with town reserves, and then the next steps in the budget. I'm going to skip right to the graphics and the information. As you know, the town relies mostly on its tax levy. Another source you have is one-time revenue, state aid, and local receipts. This budget projects state aid and local receipts at 1% for state aid and 2% for local receipts. That is a conservative number. That can increase, but we should not rely on the state. Even a 5% increase in state aid would be $20,000, $30,000, not something that's going to solve the budget. It's going to help, and we'll take all money from the state. I don't want them to think we're not going to take it. I did not include any one-time revenue use in this projection. That's for you to talk about and discuss. Last year you used $250,000, $50,000 from the ambulance reserve fund, which is receipts we get for any ambulance use and billing, and $200,000 in free cash. For expenses, perhaps the most interesting part about this budget. It's a 6.5% increase in town spending. Structural changes, you know we've been working on the structure of the budget. There's not as many this year, but one significant one is we moved the facilities department over $1 million from the school budget to the town budget. We did move last year's numbers into the budget as well, so you can see an apples to apples comparison. But the town budget did go up and the school went down because of that switch.
So, Ryan, so the 56, that's usually, I've got 2/3 of my mind. That smaller percentage of education is a result of moving $1 million or whatever over the other way, right?
Yep. Facilities moved into the town budget. The CPS facilities, not CCHS.
Right.
We also reconfigured the sustainability coordinator position to assist with land use efforts. This is repurposing 2 assistants. It's a 0% impact on the budget, but the sustainability position is now supporting, instead of building, conservation, and the finance assistant is helping building. And I can discuss that more if you want, but it's a small change that we wanted to highlight. And then we combined the historical commission assistant with the assistant town clerk, made that a full-time position, so we moved all the historical commission money into the assistant town clerk line. And that position is not only doing historical commission, but also helping with what we call orphan boards that don't have minute support and other assistance. So here are the expense requests by category, and this is percent of the projected or proposed operating budget. Education, as you know, leads the way at almost 57% of the budget,
This is the combined, though, CCHS and CPS.
and vocational,
And VOC, okay.
to include the debt. Insurance and fringe is our next highest at 12.85%. Public safety is at 10%, and so forth and so on. You'll see that debt is right around your target of 3.33%, but there's a lot of debt coming, as you know. And I will say, well, I'll get into that in a second, but this budget does project that the DPW and the fire station are passed in the spring, so you can see what that impact is. Of course, that is a huge assumption. The town has to vote on that. You still have a lot of work to do on that, but you keep telling me you want to see it, so we've made it part of the budget. So some of the highlights. Carlisle Public Schools is requesting a 4.83% increase. You'll see this is different from their 4.66 number, and that's because facilities moved. So if you take out the impact of the facilities increase, the educational increase is 4.83%. The increase for CCRHS, which includes their declining debt number, is 9.08%. That's that large enrollment shift we've been talking about for a little while now. We did include a 2% COLA for all non-union, non-contract employees, so you could see what a 2% COLA would look like, so that number is built into this budget.
Wait, Ryan, the 9.08%, that includes what increase in the high school budget? Absolutely, because I know they're doing a budget presentation tomorrow.
Yep.
So this number we got from them this week,
Okay, so that reflects whatever they're presenting.
Yes.
whatever their local number is.
Okay.
So it looks to be about
Can get better.
750,000.
I think it ended up to about 1% plus.
Okay.
Allocation.
And then with debt, I think it was just under 1%.
For the high school overall? Okay.
Yeah, the majority of this impact is
Is
this
the
enrollment
swing.
shift. This one time, well, you say
So
one time.
you're saying, Victor, the operating budget only went up by 1%? Really?
I think it's 1.5.
Between 1 and 2.
How are they able to do that so
Yeah.
little?
I haven't looked at, I'll hear it tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see.
All right, any contractual union wage increases and 1% step increases for non-union were included. All those are merit-based, so those have to be earned. And 1% or the contractual wage increases are included. And that's, I'm assuming the school included theirs and the town included ours. Talked about the employment changes, added a very tiny bit for professional development. I believe that's important for succession. I can call that out if necessary. It's about $1,000. The town's retirement assessment increased by 8.02%, and we thought this was the good year, so that's good. We're projecting a 20% increase in health insurance contribution, and that does include a continued 1% increase in health insurance splits, which you have not approved, but we wanted to show you what that looks like. There's a pretty big bump in IT maintenance. This is mostly because the public safety computer systems in dispatch and police had to be carried by what used to be Drive Tech and is now called the 20. So they need to be managed systems in order to comply with state law. They were not managed at the time. So all the computers here are managed. Those need to be managed as well. And that adds about $2,500 a month to the budget. Additionally, you approved and installed a CAD system last year, which is around $40,000 a year in software costs. And that's a yearly expense.
And that will continue?
Yeah.
Yes, forever. And then you'll see there's an 8.42% increase in town debt, and that includes your declining debt and your new debt, and I'll show you debt in detail right now. So this proposed budget includes the high school debt, which is carried through the assessment, your previously held town debt, which continues to decline, your recently approved capital projects to include the elevator, the police station renovation borrowing, and the fire station design costs. And then it also includes proposed projects to be considered at town meeting right now, which is building renovation, DPW building renovation design and fire station renovation construction, which we can show you. Okay, and this, again, I'm trying to note it as much as possible that those are projections that you can pull out or not include in here, however you want to do it. This is just a draft. Two things that you remember approving but are not in this so far are the fire truck, because that's a couple years out. That cost is built into our long-term debt projection, but you won't see it in FY27. And the same thing with the library fan coils. If the renovation was to start, say, in the fall of this year, which I think would be a stretch, we wouldn't be paying for those library coil borrowing until the following fiscal year. So I'll pause a little bit so you can see the chart. So on the left, you'll see total non-excluded and existing debt. And then we've included excluded debt in line 2. And you'll notice the sharp increase in 2029 and 2030 when we add the fire station and the DPW, if we add. So that creates a total debt. So you are at, and have been for a while, 3.3% of your operating budget, and then you'll see the increase for 3 years, a real strong increase, and then it starts to decline. Okay, this is, you have a policy of keeping your operating budget around 3 to 5% of your operating budget, so you are, with this excluded debt, saying you are going to go over your policy for these generational building projects.
Is that percentage, I know it's not in line with what we typically do, but in the context of taking on excluded capital projects, is this acceptable in terms of percentage of total
What does
debt?
acceptable mean?
Well, I mean, in terms of like financial soundness, I mean,
You mean how much debt, like leverage that a
yeah,
town
like,
carries?
I'm sure historically when we took on like the school project, we,
Well, let's ask it a different way. It's a good question, Ryan. In your experience, the bond rating agencies, how much, do they care how much is debt, or do they only care how you cover it?
They do care how much is debt. I would say, because of the size of the town and the commercial industrial mix we have here, you're never gonna go higher for your bond rating, so the question is, are you gonna hold it?
Right.
This would not kick you out as long as you have accompanying debt exclusions and reserve levels that you have.
But, like, kicking up into 9% debt doesn't trigger, like, there's not a point where they say there's, you know, a little too much debt for the, as a percentage of your operating.
I think they'd wanna see your capital planning and your plan, as long as you had a sound plan. I don't think so, no.
Okay.
And you are below the state mandated, there is a cap that you can borrow, and we're nowhere close to that.
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, so another way to visualize the debt, your existing debt is in green, you'll see it going down. Your new debt, but non-excluded, so that's the elevators and library coils. And then the orange is three big projects. The fire engine, because that was voted on and excluded, and then your 2 building projects.
So the police station is that little bit of orange nub in the beginning? It's not that much, or what?
Yes.
So it's not really that much in the grand scheme of things.
It doesn't hit hard until 28.
But even still, if you add in
It's
the
not much, though.
fire station and DPW, I'm assuming you have $32 million approximately in potential.
Compared to 4.5. Yeah.
Compared,
Right,
so it's
that's
10x.
right.
Yeah.
Right, got it.
So just a way for you to visualize the debt. All right, tax impact. I know this is a section people care about tremendously. So this projects an average tax bill increase of $1,291, or 6.91%. That's using the FY27 tax rate. So this is a projection and a tool we use. It is not 100% accurate, but we try. And
That's for 27.
27, yep, this would hit next year's tax bill. So the cost in that number for just the building renovation projects alone, which right now is the police station, is $7 a home, which is 0.45% of that increase. So if you wanted to isolate the operating budget increase or the non-building projects, you're looking at about $1,100 per home, or 6.45% increase.
Estimated fiscal, so I'm not quite following that. Just for the building projects, just for the now.
Just
That's
for
sort of
the fire
misleading.
station, right?
Yeah, we've already
I
covered
mean,
that.
the
one,
police
right?
station.
Yeah, that's kind of a meaningless statistic, because we already voted that, right?
Correct, but you voted it saying that this would be above Prop 2.5, so I do think it's important to continue to note it.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're gonna crush this has to be considered outside of the normal increase, otherwise you're gonna crush yourself.
Yep.
So I think it's important to carry it and know it.
Okay.
Okay, some factors in here, our excess levy capacity, and I'll show you what that looks like with this budget, that these projections are preliminary. Expense revenue and impact are all preliminary at this point. And property value fluctuations and changes mean the average tax bill impacts people differently. So this doesn't mean that everybody's gonna go up $1,100 or $1,291. It means it's spread out based off your values. Okay, so with your levy analysis, this is how we get our numbers here. The operating budget is this top number. The new debt exclusions are here, $315,072. Combined, those become the new budget.
Wait, I gotta catch up. Okay, so you got the operating budget, debt exclusion expense new. So the 315, that's the fire station and the coils and things like that.
So that would be the excluded debt, so the fire station, the police station, and that's it.
The fire station, design fund for the fire station. Okay.
So because of the way we have to borrow, there's gonna be interest payments until we permanently
Yeah.
borrow, and then you'll have a more solid figure. All of these estimates are at 4.5% and reasonable useful life projections, so there is some variability in those costs. We're seeing interest rates a lot lower than that right now, but the world is the world, and I don't wanna project too nice for 2 years from now.
When you say a lot lower, what do you mean?
We're in the threes, and we're projecting this at 4.5. So it's a pretty big impact on the amount we're borrowing. So cherry sheets, state charges, and overlay, these are consistent charges that you have to pay annually that we increase at the historical rate, and we're pretty accurate there. So the total expense line is 39.4 million. You subtract from that the revenue that we talked about, so state aid, local receipts, any one-time funds that you want to use, and what you get is the remaining number is the tax levy, how much hits the taxpayer. Okay, this calculation below the line is just for the way we calculate the excess levy capacity. So I don't want to confuse anybody, but it's necessary so you can see excess levy capacity. So if you look at FY27, here is your proposed change in levy, the 6.91 tax bill increase, the average tax bill dollar amount, and then your average bill.
So can I stop? Debt exclusions new, we just covered. Debt exclusions existing, we just covered. Total maximum levy. Where does it show how close we are to the levy limit?
So max levy minus levy equals
You didn't do that math.
levy capacity.
The remaining excess levy
I
capacity.
know, but I have to do math, right? You didn't do that math.
Well, it's 2 point,
I did the math, it's right here.
we're going down.
Oh,
At the
okay.
bottom, right?
Down there, okay.
And then this, okay, so this
There you
also.
go. I got it, thank you.
So, and then,
The top one is everything for the tax bill. It's everything, 6.91%, everything we just presented. The bottom one shows you operating budget, and it shows you the debt exclusions for the building, so you can see
Yeah.
the impact of those projects.
Right. But the bottom line, at the very last line of that little section, 3.5% levy limit capacity just got whacked down to 2.2, pretty steep
Mhm.
decline.
You cut 1.3 million out of your excess.
And when
levy.
you project that out with your other things, when do we run out of room?
Same as the forecast, about 4 years from now. Assuming that you're gonna carve this up a little bit and not just pass this blindly. If you wanna just do that tonight, we could be done.
It's Scott's third term.
no, sooner than that. So I think a couple of, I mean, obviously, you're gonna be going through the departments. I think some key questions are gonna be around, like, given we have this allocation increase this year, do we use one-time funds?
Mhm.
What does that look like over time? I think it's a 1-year increase, and then expect it to, I don't know, either hold or go down, but not continue to increase.
Correct.
Is the high school
My memory is
talking
it's gonna be level
Yeah.
for about 2
Yeah.
years and then drop off. That's memory.
I see the growth number here. I know that's a conservative number, and you always use a conservative number, but,
That's not that conservative.
so we expect less growth next year compared to this year.
You talking about internal real estate growth or state?
New homes?
We're right around 300,000 all the time.
Except last year, we were at 390.
390.
So, I mean, some of those things will inform, I'm assuming those will adjust these numbers, but a
Mhm.
lot of it comes down to operating budget.
Yeah, that's the point.
And the, where's the, it seems like the high school will be, it's a lower ask than it has been out of the gate this year, which is helpful. Carlisle Public is higher. And then, yeah, these other, retirement, all that other stuff is, health insurance killer.
big drivers are the schools, any community in New England schools, and then you have, the new debt is it's 8% growth on 1 million, so there's a little bit of a hit there, and then health insurance and retirement.
But for the insurances and the retirement funds, is there a diseconomy of scale, or a big town gets the same 20? I mean, there's not, let me ask you different, like, let's say healthcare, 20% increase, was it healthcare, I think?
Mm-hmm.
We're not really being penalized for our size, like, big towns and cities are getting whacked with that too, right?
We're getting whacked also for our performance.
But you could again have that at any size city.
That we can't.
Same with retirement, I mean, again, you know, as we talk about the viability of a small town in a modern era, you could say, well, you should regionalize some functions, but those things you're gonna pay no matter what you do, unless you just have fewer employees, right?
Correct. All right, so any questions there? So I thought maybe if you wanted to cut 1% from the tax bill, make sure I get this right.
This is fire station. We haven't even built it yet. It's just funds
Marnie, retirement's
allocated for
pretty good, huh?
Well, in fiscal '27, it would just be the
27,
design funds.
right.
$100,000 is 1/4%.
It's a 1/4%.
So 1% decrease is 400,000.
Go find it, FinCom.
All right, I'm gonna move into capital. FinCom's much more familiar with the capital plan at this point, or
Mhm.
I know that you wanna contribute, so I'm gonna try and move through this quick.
Yeah, you go ahead and I'll color.
Okay, 3.762 million in capital requests. That includes adding $430,000 to address the culvert maintenance plan that you saw this year. Implement a advanced EMT program. These are new things. We've combined the Grant and Robbins RTU projects into a $500,000 project that's going to be grant funded, and the MFC used their funds to seed this climate leader grant, which was good work by our sustainability.
You said, so grant funded and then there's the grant building. You mean we're not paying for this HVAC?
You will not be, no, if we do our jobs right. Some deferred costs, you received a donation for your drone, and the finance committee deferred the signboard for the police department for the time being. The Recreation Commission reprioritized their projects. They're looking, and they're doing a townwide assessment on need before they propose anything, but if they do propose things, it will be CPA funded. So Facilities Department added some things, surge protect, this is MFC and Facilities, surge protection at CPS and Police Department, new radios for the Facilities Department, a server upgrade that's necessary because of some Windows shenanigans, and then the outside main staircase, the one that you're familiar with going up to vote at Corey, not to vote, to town meeting, needs to be replaced, pieces of it. Some considerations for you for FY27 capital. There's not enough free cash to fund the entirety of the requests, and I'll show you what that is, and maintain a 12% reserve and use money for the operating budget. So I think that's an obvious statement, but it needs to be said. And the Finance Committee is considering, you'll be talking maybe about this, but the town hall projects being combined into one. More to follow on that. In terms of your financing, you should obviously continue to borrow for your large renovation projects and combine permanent borrowing when possible to reduce costs. So we think these numbers are on the high end. We can't promise miracles, but they should come down. You should fully allocate your Chapter 90 towards a road maintenance plan, which we believe will still be around $450 this year. Use CPA when possible and consider alternate funds like that advanced EMT. You might consider using your ambulance reserve fund or using ambulance reserve for operational purposes. So if you look at the finance plan, here's your department requests. I didn't do this funky lettering, that's a PDF thing, so that wasn't me trying to be cool. The department requests are here. Your alternate revenues, such as grant, Chapter 90, state funding, takes away 1.6 million of that. Let's say you use 1 million in free cash, that's an arbitrary number. You'd still have a deficit of 1.1 million, and I'll show you where you're at with reserve levels. The only warrant article that's been proposed that has a financial impact so far is the perpetual fund discussion that we had last year. correcting an error that was made in the perpetual fund. Right now, that's projected to be a $34,000 ask to make the perpetual fund care whole.
DPW would be, or this doesn't include.
Cemetery, right?
Well, this DPW design could be a warrant article, fire station.
Yeah, that would be a debt exclusion.
I'm sorry, okay, so this is just for,
So the debt exclusion was included in the operating budget. These are just one-time uses
okay,
of
so
free
these are
cash.
capital, gotcha.
Yeah, there'll be warrant articles for MFC, DPW, but they have different funding sources. So your reserves, right now, you're at 1.4 in stabilization, 3.17 in capital stabilization, and your free cash estimate, which is being certified as we speak, is 4.74 million, for a total of 6.47 million. That's 16.48% of the proposed budget in this draft before you make any reductions, which gives you 1.8 million above reserve for use. So if you paid for the entirety of the capital plan that's not funded from alternate sources, which is another $2.2 million, if you used all of it, then, and including that $34,000 warrant article, your reserves would be down to 10.89% of your operating budget, as projected.
And that,
Hey, Benny.
So that does not include using one-time funds to offset operating or anything.
You see where he is?
what was our target, 12?
Here we go.
Yeah.
Page
What's the projected
12.
expenses you're applying it to,
10 to
capital
12.
and operating?
It's a capital deficit.
Yeah.
To capital
12.
deficit.
Well, back in the day, it was 10.
In a prior chart, you used $1 million of it, right? And then you had a shortfall. Two charts ago, it showed $1 million, and then there was a shortfall. Now you're saying, use all of it to cover everything.
Yeah, I showed you two
And
scenarios.
nothing to operating, it's all, apply all the spare free cash to capital.
Yep.
And then you'd be at 11%.
So,
Only like 12, I guess, is
I'm trying to show you the variability of use.
Right.
You know, Ryan, in the past, we've had discussions of whether we should be counting in our reserves, the amount that Carlisle should be credited for that, CCHS holds as reserve. You're not including that.
I did include that.
Oh, you did include that.
That's in this number?
Have you always included, you have it in the
Always-
past?
Always included it.
How much is that?
Well, they've reserved the money for your, what is their assessment, 9
They
million?
can only reserve 5%, right?
They have enough to cover any calamity on the Carlisle side for that entire chunk of money, that 9 million.
Okay, but you include, it's included. That's what you're saying.
So they're backing up about a quarter of your budget, 20% of your budget.
How so?
Hmm?
They have a budget that's similar to our budget.
The reason for having stabilization is the state tanks, we don't get that money, we gotta cover that hole.
Right.
They have enough money to cover their own hole.
Is that an E&D or it's a wholesale?
E&D, yeah.
But E&D is statutorily no more than 5% of the budget, right?
Correct.
So they have a, same as us, a 30 whatever $million budget, they're doing, right?
But that's,
So they got $1.8 million and we're like a quarter of that. I'm not quite following you.
it would be a pretty significant economic shift for them to have to use all their E&D to
No,
cover
but
the
it, I
problem.
mean, Mark's question is,
It's a
that
separate reserve.
what do the agencies look at? Do they count that amount?
They probably would.
So let's do the math again. We have our budget, what's our operating line here? 37?
39.
30, I'll call it 40. So 40 would be 800,000 of E&D, that's the most they could have, the most. Is 800,000, of which we're a quarter, which is 200,000. So that's it, you say backstop a quarter of us, but they're not, it's just 200,000.
So that's more than our assessment increase, so they could cover 1 year of calamity is what it
Yeah,
is.
but I don't think, I mean, maybe I misunderstood the question. I think in this calculus, is that 200 find its way into that pot of reserve?
It doesn't, no.
It does not.
Yeah, yeah, in the calculation of the 12%.
It does not, yeah, I don't think,
Yeah,
that's where,
so-
that's what I was trying to get
I
to.
didn't
We've
think
never
so
done
either.
that, to my knowledge.
But why wouldn't we?
Well, because I don't think the agencies.
Because you can't tap it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't tap
Not
it.
under-
We don't have any
you don't
control over it.
It's not on our balance sheet.
Right.
It's on theirs.
You can tap it with town meeting, but it's hard.
I mean, it's good to
Yeah.
know it's there, but.
Right,
I mean-
okay.
Okay, so a lot of these next steps, we're identifying large outstanding discussions to include the revenue coming from the Commonwealth, which will help, but hopefully help, but it's not gonna solve the problem. Health insurance projections, we hope we're high at this point, and they come down a little bit. The school budgets are still in their own process. We need decisions on non-union COLA and employee benefits, and any one-time revenue use is an obvious outstanding question.
Cola not in there?
Well, bullets 2 and
Is cola in
4 are
there?
kind of related, right?
Is COLA in the in the budget here?
2%.
2%. Oh.
But that's just us. When we don't put it in, there's a lot of questions about it, so we just put in a placeholder. So you
Yeah,
can
and
see.
that.
But that could be not enough.
So bullet 2 is how much our health insurance overall is going to go up.
Right.
Bullet 4 is how much you're gonna contribute on the.
Right.
I
But
love
they're
the
related.
COLA for
They are
staff
related,
here.
kind of.
So there's something.
And then for the public, the budget schedule in January is when the finance committee does their marathon meetings. The governor comes out with the first draft of the state budget, and our health insurance estimates become a little more real. February and March is your analysis time. April is your public presentation of information time. And then May, you have annual town meeting on the 18th and the annual town election on the 2nd.
Really?
Included in this document is a line-by-line summary, which I'm not gonna go through unless you have questions, but it is available. And then the full 10-year capital plan as we know it now. So I know you guys love colors. The colors coordinate with other funding sources, or yellow and red are removals or changes.
That's on the capital, right? Is that capital? Well, that's an eye chart.
So this is a link, a public link. If you go to town administrator page, budget information, the capital plan link is live and goes right to the spreadsheet. You can download it. But this is for the presentation. All right, who's excited? That's the budget.
I mean, it's good analysis. It's back to the kind of basic, I'd like to calibrate our basic emotional principles first. Like, maybe in my mind, there's kind of 3 categories. There's the excluded debt projects that we kind of have already chewed over. We've all kind of raised our hands and said, yes, we need a fire station, we need DPW, so I don't want to revisit that. That has a cost, but we've already kind of, in my mind, we've already crossed that bridge. I don't think pulling back from that's great. Then we have all the rest of the capital, some of which it looks like we could defer. And then we have the operating line, and whether we are gonna get tough on the operating line. And I'm interested in FinCom and Select Board's, emotional feeling of like which levers to really press hardest. And then I would nominate a subcommittee of people who aren't running again to be the hammer. But anyway, no, I am interested in, that feedback on that, right? Because you got like a 7%, a non-sustainable operating increase line, and a pretty heavy CapEx, including if you want to throw in, the bridges and, the culverts and all that.
My kind of thought is what let's project out. I think you had done that a little bit, but this is, 7% or whatever, 6.9% increase to the tax bill. For next year, what does that increase look like? 28.
For 28.
It's like $2,000.
If the school assessment returns to quote unquote normal, and you pass this high a budget, then next year's average tax bill increase is relatively low.
Because you're starting.
You're starting
Compared
so
to this
high.
one, yeah.
As you bring this down, that one will go up.
I think we need to see what we can do. I mean, we don't use free cash for operating expenses typically.
Right, so that's the first challenge.
But the one operating expense that's not really an operating expense is that allocation shift. And is there,
Yeah.
how do we attack, I keep using this word tonight, how do we approach that, and the recommendation for fiscal '27? Can we take some depending on what we do for capital, can we take some free cash
Mhm.
to offset some of that allocation increase for 1 year and kind of step
The
into it?
allocation as in the
The
CCHS.
CCHS.
So a speed bump, I mean, we've talked about it, we do that periodically.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is a large, I mean, and we've benefited.
Yeah, but then you've gotta peel it, then you need to peel it from, then
Yeah.
CapEx has to get a haircut,
Yeah,
right?
but the capital also has, and we haven't been through it all, it has the full 800,000
Well,
for
that's
the
right,
road
you
and
gotta
culverts.
slide, you
Yeah,
gotta slide
430
some of
for
that.
the
But, Ryan, so we
Yeah.
decided that a 1% decrease in the budget's 400K. How much do we have to,
No, 1% decrease of the tax
Average
bill.
tax bill.
The average tax bill is 400K.
They're pretty close though,
Yeah,
okay,
because a $40 million budget is
yeah, true.
about right.
well, all right, so, right, 1% is 400K, right,
Yeah.
okay. So, and as you go, you said we're 4 years away from Armageddon, so.
Let's not use that term.
Levy limit.
We're 4 years away from crashing into the levy limit, how's that? So, what would we need to do? How much, like, I don't know by how much we would exceed at that point, like, broadly speaking, what percent over each of the next 4 years would we have to trim? Like, what glide slope would we need to buy ourselves another year and another year? That's kinda,
Yeah.
I'm really interested in pushing that horizon out.
Without any growth,
Yeah. Well, no, nominal, regular old. you know.
without any new growth, beyond what is average.
Yeah, right.
Then you would need, assuming that you're okay with it, you need to keep your operating budget tax impact between 3% and 4.5%.
Right.
Okay.
Get another year or two. But
Excluding
I'll
the
tell you,
projects, like-
with,
Yeah,
Up to
excluding the
2.5,
project.
you're gonna go 2.5.
you know, with this enrollment shift, there's no way you're getting to a 3 this year unless you do significant cuts at the schools and then the town.
What is the operating budget increase without CCHS, or if you just, is there a way?
So that,
Because the public school, K through 8 schools got a pretty healthy increase too.
We'll take the 600K out, it's like 1.5% roughly, right? That allocation.
Okay, it's 1.5.
Right,
Out of 7,
600K.
so you're at 5.5. So you still have to carve 2% out of that. And the biggest user is the K through 8.
K
Yeah.
through.
To me, the answer's kind of obvious.
But they're at 4.8, so I don't see how.
They're not at 4, are they at 4.8?
Still having taken facilities out.
Yeah, right. You gotta go apples to apples.
That
Well,
is,
the
4.83 is
So I don't
apples to
see-
apples.
It is apples to
But we're
apples.
still at, yeah, just doing the math, if they're up 4.8, something's up more than that to get us to 5.
Yeah, what's up more, I mean, I know.
Healthcare.
Yeah,
Healthcare is up
health and
20%.
retirement.
Yeah, right.
Retirement.
Health and retirement are probably the other two.
What do you guys think? We're doing a lot of job building.
First time we're seeing it too, so that's a good question, but.
You gotta reduce it. I mean,
Yeah. You gotta reduce it.
You gotta get closer to 2.5%.
Right.
I mean, that answers your question. Probably
Yeah, I mean, my
2.5,
guiding
right,
light
so-
is get us on a path to buy us more time before we hit level.
Mhm.
We gotta start now. We can't keep deferring till the final year. We'll just never get there, so.
No.
And the reserves, I would try not to use for the operating budget, because you're kind of misleading
Well,
sort
the
of your
only
issue.
the argument Scott's making is one that we've used in the past, which is
Mhm.
you've got, the old adage, at least from my era, was you only use free cash in the operating budget when you have this anomalous event.
Yeah.
You never use it to, throw an ashes to use the term peanut butter,
But you're just paying for it next year then,
Well, you are.
right?
You are.
So if you use it for a capital budget, it's a one-time
Yeah. no,
one-time cost, and it's sort of more,
Yeah.
I mean, you still have the issue.
Right.
You're
You
gonna
don't make
spend
it go
it.
away.
Yeah.
Well, the only difference though, Aaron, is that, what wouldn't be good is if we force down the operating budget because we're not using free cash, but then we give a pass to the CapEx and let them use that free cash. You shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
There's a few things we've gone department by department on the capital side. there's not a whole lot that we felt could be cut, but there's a few areas that we felt that we wanted to discuss with the select board. So one is the ongoing roads and maintenance, right? So we set a budget level there, you all did, with a study, but certainly we're in a tight belt period, so I think it's something that we can revisit and discuss if it continues to make sense, the 800,000 for the roads and the, whatever it is, 450 for the culverts and such, or if we should use that as a lever. The other one was, that was built into this year, was the, a number of individual line items for this building, for Town Hall, for renovations. This is a 30-year-old building roughly. It felt to us that we're not just talking about maintaining windows and maintaining, but it's more of almost like a renovation of this building. So should that be something that's another building
Debt
project, that's another debt exclusion or
So you
not?
kick it down the road and put it behind after the DPW.
Potentially, yeah.
The only issue, being on the MFC, the only issue with that is the HVAC is at the end of its life, relatively speaking.
So the RTU up there, the HVAC system, is a target for the Climate Leader Grant. We are applying for design funding, which we're gonna get from Climate Leader. That should inform how much that costs. The complication is, we think that the Climate Leader Accelerator Grant would pay for the whole thing, right? So design but if you're gonna do that, you probably should do the roof at the same time. And that's, because then you'd be working around, you'd be doing it twice. So that's not gonna get funded by a sustainability grant, so then the town has to pay for that.
Is the roof in?
But-
It needs to be repaired in the next 5 years, and if you're doing the RTU, it's time.
Yeah, so I
I
don't
can
think
show you some pictures.
I don't think the way we talked about it at our last meeting was not postponing doing the project. It was just bundling it all together and putting it, and taking out borrowing money for it, which then spreads out the cost.
Right, but the
So-
question, Mark, is.
So
I
we
mean, we've already
reduce the
got-
cost.
We're like the airplanes at
Yeah, I
JFK
know.
on a Sunday
Yeah.
night, right? So
Yep.
we got the fire station, the police station has landed. The fire station's kinda getting ready for final approach.
Yep.
DPW's out there circling around, waiting for its slot. This thing's gonna be behind that, right? It's gonna be a while. If we do that, it's gonna be a while.
The alternative is, I think the overall projects over the next 24 months are about $1 million for the town hall, is that right, roughly speaking?
Yeah, about $1 million.
So it's $1 million out of our reserves,
Oh.
otherwise.
Okay.
Right. So spreading that, there is the option that it could take from the DPW, that's obviously a risk or a concern. But the question is, otherwise, if these things need to get done, are we lowering our reserves by $1 million? And this is what we were grappling with, we don't have an answer.
Well, I'm hearing kinda, we have 5 years to make the decision here, other than the fact that there's this grant. But in fact, there are always gonna be grants.
No, 5 years.
I can't tell you which grants, but.
Yeah,
I
but
don't understand
We
that.
are gonna-
Just,
We'll hit that $1 million threshold on this project, though.
The MSC doesn't think there's a 5-year window, but that's.
Right.
They think, yeah.
All the
next 2
departments are
years.
telling you that this has been deferred for a while, roads, culverts,
Yep.
buildings.
yeah,
so-
right.
It's which one, yeah.
Well, to me, we're in a state where we're taking a lot of projects on to mitigate for lack of investment and maintenance.
Yeah.
And we don't want to go into the realm of impairing our financial health, but I do think it's time to look at that reserve range, and if rather being on the low end of healthy versus the high end of healthy,
Mhm.
now's the time to start thinking
Yeah.
about that, because otherwise, what are the reserves there for? I mean, again, we don't want to do
Yep.
anything that
I don't disagree.
What is
certainly
the low
impair-
end, what is the low end of health?
I don't know what it is these days. What do we,
10?
We've always talked.
But
about
I thought we
10
10 to
always-
12 seems to be our window.
Yeah.
We always knew this day was coming with.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you-
And this is why we had a 12% reserve, so like,
Well,
I
the thing
think,
is
I think
you-
if we went to something like 7 or,
Well, and if we're applying it to these long-term projects,
I thought that was the
and we do
intent
it
of
in
having
a
that.
planned way, so we're
Yeah.
not,
I agree.
and we can confirm what keeps our bond rating, then those
Yeah.
are the things we
Right,
should be
you
doing.
borrow
Yep.
from a position of strength. Sandy's online, maybe she could say. All these excluded debt is great if you have plenty of reserve, because then they say, good, we'll give you a nice low rate, right? So,
Mhm.
I don't know, Sandy, you got anything to add there?
She can certainly add, but that is definitely
Yeah.
a policy.
Yeah, so
Well, we can change
it
our
is not
policy,
the
but-
time, I would say.
No, I mean, she's probably not
Shaving
gonna
at
speak to
that,
policy.
if you're entering a high borrowing period.
Yeah,
It's the exact opposite.
Well,
Keep it as strong as you can.
but not overly strong.
No, go over
Yeah,
12,
well,
but keep it at 12.
why?
Oh, but if
Who
it's
knows
the
if
same
the-
difference between 10 and 12, why
Yeah.
are we keeping the?
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should
Right.
ask somebody.
But that's what I
probably
mean.
have 20
Let's
people
ask
in
an
town.
expert
Yeah.
before we.
Maybe
Right.
8% is
Come to a
fine.
conclusion, right.
Right.
It is.
Back in the day, it was
Probably
10
is.
to 12%.
I mean, we kept it high for this purpose.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
This is
mean,
what-
this is what
you
we've
guys
talked about for
will
like the
Yeah.
last 6 years.
Correct.
I mean,
Wanted to squirrel
we-
money away to cover
These
all these
costs.
buildings that were
'Cause-
coming up.
Yep.
Yeah, because
Now let's cover them.
Yeah, because we knew we had the fire station, the police
Yeah,
station,
we've
and,
got-
you know, so I mean,
Yeah.
So-
I had a slightly different question, just can you remind me, sorry,
Yeah.
when you you said the 6.91% increase in the tax bill, that's and then, it's not an increase, and then on top of that is the CPA assessment, correct?
Yes.
You don't roll that in. You always talk about it without the CPA, and then there's another line for the CPA. So just hear me out. So as the tax bill goes up, of course, the CPA assessment, the percentage, because the net, the sum of the tax bill is getting bigger, so the money gathered from CPA
Also good.
It's
increases.
growing.
So I do think it's timely that we consider whether we really need to be gathering, forget about the percentage, all that money from CPA. Because what a taxpayer sees is not this and then CPA, he or she or he sees the total. So any way you make the total goes down is a good thing for the taxpayer. And I would say we've got a lot of reserves in CPA too. So we should, for the benefit of the taxpayer, consider reducing the CPA assessment. Like, consider it for the upcoming tax year. If we have to, however we have to do that.
Town meeting.
Yeah, it's a town meeting vote.
Yeah, okay, so that's before the new fiscal year would begin.
But you can vote,
There may be a year lag on that,
yeah,
actually.
there may be a year line. Can you vote?
Well,
at
so
the
there's a
year
year
you
lag,
cut the
whatever.
budget?
Yeah.
Well, okay, but
Yeah.
I think the select board should look at that carefully.
Mhm. No, I agree. And I think we should be doing that as a matter of course anyway.
Yeah. The other thing is, did you make, so we've got a new law on the books, which is, of course, the new ADUs, which are much easier to build. And or by right, they can be built. Are we seeing yet any increase, or are we projecting any increase in the next couple of years? And have you added that? Because, I mean, increases our tax base, obviously. We have a
There's
lot
not
of them
enough data.
appearing.
There's not enough data for me in good faith to increase our
Okay.
growth, but if we
Okay.
did see that, we would.
It
ask
hasn't
you.
been high volume historically, but.
Well, okay, we've never had it by right, though.
So
That's
that would,
something to look at, right?
Yeah.
As we
So-
go into this process.
May,
that would increase your excess levy capacity, for sure.
yep,
It would not reduce your tax rate.
you could though, if you wanted
I mean, if we can,
to bring in the same amount of money.
and we should maintain a position of being conservative in the revenue forecast, but we should validate
Yeah.
if there are some things that could favorably help our revenue, it's good to get that number right, or as close to right as we can, and still be a little conservative, but not overly conservative.
probably should take a look at fees across the board again, you know, like transfer station.
But again, in the world of Mark Bernstein, most taxpayers are gonna say, well, you're just
Yeah.
moving the tax bill
Yeah.
around.
Well, it's a use fee, right? So if you're
You
using.
call what you want, he's gonna say.
Well,
okay,
I'm
Well-
not just picking on transfer station.
Well,
You
no,
know,
it
there are
could be
fees at
anything.
the school,
Yep.
there's fees across the board.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna increase taxes,
Yeah.
and you can offset that by some new fees, at least you can make a case
You're like
that
Trump,
you're
right?
using.
New resident has to pay $100,000 to move into town.
Done.
Well, look, I have already said for the record, I think we need to reduce this budget.
The move
So
down will-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Looking for
definitely
ways to
committed
do
to
that.
finding
I'm
ways
at, yeah, I'm
to
with you.
reducing.
I'm with you, Aaron. I'm
I-
at budget reduction as
I
the first
think-
strategy.
I think we need to.
Then you later, we showed a calendar, we got a couple months here.
Because
Then
if
you
it's
start
going,
to fit the pieces together to see.
these are relatively good
Oh.
times,
Right.
and so you're going up, a lot of this has to do with the high school and obviously CPS as well, especially around certain, uncontrolled costs at CPS as well, so.
Well, right, so on your fee question, I mean, if you push back on the CPS budget, let them solve for other sources that they
Yeah.
wanna put in to get fees. We don't need to manage that piece of their process.
But I guess FinCom, and what I'm saying to FinCom is maybe we add that to, as a question during our January meeting, really focus on fees. I mean, we did a couple years back.
Sure.
But if we're looking for $400,000, if we could pick up $100,000,
Oh, yeah, sure.
$200,000 in fees, every little bit's gonna help, right? I
Mhm.
mean,
Well, that's the idea, right, is we make smaller, sooner adjustments and
Yeah.
affect that glide path, because the more we can do of that, the more we avoid a emergency break in a few years.
yeah.
It's also past 8 o'clock. I do want to just do a time check with folks. Is there anything specifically you want to discuss? We can still have a few questions, but is there any other materials we want to go over at this point, or kind of unloaded the?
So I think in January, February, March, your focus is gonna be on what you were just talking about,
Yep.
which is your budget
Mhm.
cuts. So I'm strongly recommending, again, that you focus on making those capital decisions now, because it's more of a known quantity.
So you don't tackle, how do you tackle CapEx first and then OpEx, or do you do it all at once?
This year's new, so in the past, we did it all at once. This year, we brought in the departments over the past 6 or 8 weeks to talk about capital.
So that's now, you've done that.
We've
already.
done that, right.
So you're now gonna look at everything you've
So now we're gonna
done
look at it big picture.
and come back and recommend to us what you think.
Correct.
Okay.
And I think for us, we need to specifically, they've identified really taking a look at the road maintenance, and they mentioned a few things
Yeah.
that we should discuss.
Right, I mean, I remind us, like on that score, I know Ryan came up with an idea of parity roads, and that makes everybody feel good, but really, if you're utilitarian, you can't do it all. You gotta tell some people, I'm sorry, you had a crappy road, there's 60 you want it.
It's hard to rebuild our town buildings and repair all our roads, and.
We just, I don't, yeah, I
There's just
guess
no
our
way.
appetite, we have to restore an appetite. You mentioned decades of neglect,
Right.
right? But the fact is, it wasn't neglect of not paying attention. It was neglect in the sense that we made hard trades, and we knew it imposed hardship, but we were conservative. And now we've kind of gone a little, maybe too far into the appeasement mode, in my opinion. And we just gotta go back to some harder choices and just say, too bad, some roads are gonna have potholes, some culverts aren't gonna, might collapse. Yeah, we just, don't be stupid, but.
I think the
Some culverts are gonna
DPW
collapse.
management has also changed in terms of our
Right.
awareness and.
Right.
No, we know more,
Because
we know more, and
we're
the
trying to
costs
do
are going
roads
up,
right.
we can't do, we're in
Right.
healthcare, we can't do.
Yeah, a real
anything.
analysis of
But-
what needs
Yep.
to be done,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, is there anything else? Oh, sorry, Barney, did you
Oh,
have?
I just have 3 things. One is, who, do we have is it who's going head-to-head with Concord on the CCHS budget?
Hmm.
Who's representing our financial interests? Because I think we have a case to make that because of this very unusual year where our assessment has really gone up, that we should be taking a hard look at some of the practices of the Concord, their budget, and is there a way, or the school budget, is there a way to push harder for them to either reduce their OPEB or reduce, what's the other thing they always do? Yeah, right,
And the
so.
amenities building.
And I think there
Well-
is, I mean, that was offered up last year in terms of discussion. Maybe not so much E&D, but definitely OPEB.
Yeah,
But we can open that discussion
We
up.
can,
And we've
yeah.
actually brought it up with Concord FinCom
Yes.
before.
but it feels like this is one of those times when we really have to make our voice heard. So if you need more Carlisle voices in, or coming from other directions at other committees in Concord.
Sure.
That we should do that. We should put a full court press on them around this
But
issue.
will their response, Victor, you mentioned, is their OpEx is only going up like 1.5%?
It's actually, I looked it back, my memory's not good, so I always have to reference. It's 2.5, that is without debt.
Without debt, and then debt pushes.
With debt, it's 1.5.
Right, so they're getting the windfall of now the school
Yep.
building is starting to come down.
Yep.
But still, even at 2.5,
Yes.
if I'm them, I'm like, well, fix your own house first. Your public school's asking for, 4. Like, why don't you fix that, then come back and let us know.
But even so, I mean, I think this is something that, I've been liaison for a few years, trying to cultivate this aspect that we're working together. And
Right.
last year was the first year that they said, if this is an issue, then let's talk. And here are some areas we can talk about.
Mhm.
We never actually pulled that trigger on the OPEB, but it was the OPEB, at the very end of the day, they had offered up OPEB, and then I think we did take that, I think there was some type of technology thing that they had, line item that they had, that I think we said reduce that, and that impact for small amounts.
Mhm.
So they brought it up last year as an opportunity, so I think that's something we can talk about. E&D might be a little tougher. I don't think we've really had a lot of conversations about E&D
Mhm.
before, but.
Quickly, last other 2 points, Barney?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what the other two were now, sorry.
got a long process ahead of us.
I know. Ryan, you said the estimates on revenue are low, are very conservative. Or
No, I might have
what was
said-
your phrase? Quite conservative, or something like that.
They're conservative. They
Yeah.
usually are this time of year.
I know, but I think that is, while I completely agree we need to reduce the spending, I think we also need to look at the revenue and maybe not be as conservative as we have been in the past, if in fact it's really on the conservative side, right? Is there a middle ground that we can be considering in terms of the revenue? I've forgotten what.
You'll have
the
a
third thing
better
was.
steer on the state, right?
Yep.
At the end of January.
January 23rd.
Yeah, so you'll know that piece
Yeah.
of the conservativeness.
Right.
All right, so we're just at the beginning of this process, so thank you for presenting all this info.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yep, thanks.
And then,
Can I
Next.
add one thing?
please, Nathan.
I just want to point out or state a preference that, we really, I think this budget should go down as well. I agree with the others who said that. And I also agree that we need to really push hard on some of these things. And I also think that means, to me, there is other money that in the future could be potentially leveraged in some way for some things that may come up, and that's the CPA funds.
Yep.
And so I just think that we need to be very careful in what we're agreeing to spend CPA funds on now, because it could help us in the future for some projects.
Yeah, and I think we really want to try to identify that, right?
Yep.
So we know what we're sort of saving for.
Well, I don't think that we necessarily have to know that right now. It's not a this for that thing. It's just making sure that what we're spending the CPA money on now is really a high priority for the town, knowing all of these other things that are going on.
Yes. I think I certainly agree with that. And
Yep.
I'm sure FinCom, I know you've discussed it initially, but.
We haven't taken a position, but we generally feel the same way, I would say.
Okay, wonderful. So, thank you guys. Do you
Yep,
want
so
to close
we'll
your
close our
meeting?
meeting.
And then we can,
So I can take a motion to close the meeting?
I'll move to
Move.
close. I'll second Nathan.
Okay, and a roll call.
Aye.
Candies?
Aye, Brown eye.
Catachio, aye?
Tilly, aye.
Lang eye?
Gober guy?
There we go. Thank you.
All right,
Mr.
thank you very much. Much
Thank
more to
you.
come.
Ryan, thank you again.
Good night, everyone.
All right, thank you. We're ready to move on to the Cranberry Bog House discussion. So if Julie and members of the Affordable Housing Trust want to come up to the table, that would be great for folks watching at home.
And before they start, well, I appreciate everyone thanking me.
Tell me about it later. Happy
Just want
holidays.
to say Kelly is like my human AI, so she doesn't get a lot of FaceTime during this, but she does most of the work.
Okay, so to set the stage on this conversation, I know we're gonna get a presentation on the potential Cranberry Bog House project, and I think the goal tonight is not for us to necessarily dive into the details or make any specific decisions, but as a select board, express, if we feel that way, support for this project moving forward, so that there's some kind of high pitch. Look for high-level support to continue to work on this project and continue to push it forward. We're not looking to make specific decisions, or we're not expecting to have specific approvals or anything like that tonight. It's really to get an overview of where things are at and give our level of support for the project. So I think with that, I'll turn it over to you, Julie.
Great, hi, yeah, thank you for having us back. I think the last time I came before you to talk to you about this project was in February, so I'm glad we're here now in December, and I'm back working on this, and I have recently gotten kind of caught up on the things that happened over the summer when I wasn't so involved in the project. But I'm gonna let John kind of kick this off. Let me see, maybe I can do it that way. There you go,
Okay,
John.
so I'm John Ballantyne. I've been working on housing issues in Carlisle for 40 years. And so I want to give a little bit of background on this. And these are Case Shiller slides of what's happening to housing markets in the United States. And it also reflects what's happening in Massachusetts and in Carlisle. And what you see there on the left, and this is just the context of why we have a housing crisis, is that since the financial crisis, the real price of housing has more than doubled. And basically, if you look before 2000, you basically had housing prices and incomes basically parallel, so people could afford their housing. So this is the whole affordability issue. And so this is no surprise. Why? Because we've not been building enough housing. Very simple. When you have undersupply worldwide and in the country, which is what you see there in both in single and multi-unit housing, it dropped before the financial crisis and it stayed low, and so you're about 40% low. So that's the broad issue, and that's what Carlisle's facing. And so feeding back into what we were talking about CPA, we're trying to come up with a project that's winnable. Unfortunately, as you know, in the MBTA discussion, we weren't talking about housing, we were talking about why we didn't have it in certain places rather than what our needs are. We know throughout surveys in the past 30 years, people in Carlisle want more housing options. So the issue we have, and this is what we did with when we talked with the CONSCOM, is how to come up with a winning strategy to build more housing that people accept, that then can move on to other projects, which feeds into how do we get more housing in Carlisle that fits and grows our base. And that's, not just affordable units, but just the whole cross section. So I think that's what I think the context is, that we want to look at this. We met with the Conservation Commission 2 years ago at Kate Reed's suggestion, and they said, yes, let's look at the Bog House as a real possibility of something that could be a win and that the state would approve. But really, that's a step in everything. And so I think you want to look at this just as a step of doing something that looks good, that people say, yes, we want to do it, and more things can follow, which means more housing units, which means more tax revenues.
John, can I interrupt you? Did we actually open the CAHT
Oh,
meeting?
yeah, I'm sorry. Did you need to open them?
We should open it.
Yes, we
So-
can open it. We only have 3 members, yes.
No, no, no.
Oh,
You
yes,
have
sorry.
to
Oh,
open.
oh, yeah, I
Sorry.
look, yes, 4, yes, I'll open the
Please. Yeah.
Carlisle Housing Trust meeting. Yes, it's open.
So, you want to do a roll call?
Modell, aye. Present.
Cosgrove Dairy, aye.
Valentine, aye. Thank you. So that's where we are, and so now we're going to kind of look at the Cranberry Bog, but I kind of want to put it in the whole context of housing in Carlisle and how to kind of move forward.
Great.
Go ahead, Julie.
Okay,
And so
so-
Julie and I have been working in parallel on this
Yes.
for 2 years, so it's not like
Yep.
we don't know what's going on.
So to get specific, without getting super detailed for tonight's conversation, I just wanted to go back to the project goals. As I understand them, preserve historic structure. We want to maintain access to and viability of the open space and trails. We want to create 4 units of housing that are ownership, so available to households eligible households for an ownership possibility, and then affordable to households earning between 30% and 100% area median income, which is important because that is the bracket for which we can spend CPA funds, right? And then related to that is pursue the use of CPA funds so we can offset the additional tax burden on residents. I have, in the last couple weeks, spoken to town council and to the housing consultant that we're this close to contracting with, just to understand strategy and basically fill in knowledge gaps for myself so I can try to kind of guide this process and figure out what we don't know, and then look at big picture strategy early on so that we don't miss something that's really necessary and then realize 2 years from now, oh no, we didn't set this up correctly, right? So just a couple notes I want to just say from the beginning from my conversations with these experts. Town council did say the legislative process for Article 97, it could take the full 2 years. The EEA is moving. The EEA is the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. They're moving really slowly. So just managing expectations all around, that could be a lengthy process. One of the key recommendations from our housing consultant is that the town really should permit the site before we issue the RFP for a nonprofit affordable housing developer, just because that would then ensure that we're selecting the winning bidder and giving them a project that's in their sweet spot, and their sweet spot typically is not the permitting process. So if you take those two things together, that kind of brings me to this time and consideration that we should try to permit the site while the legislative action is pending, just so that we don't have to delay the time frame or push the time frame out even further. So that's something I'm going to coordinate with our housing consultant on in the early part of 2026, just to figure out procedurally what the best way to do that would be. And then just for all to note, units that are created through this would be subject to an affirmative fair housing marketing plan, which means that the units cannot be sold to the town, and the town cannot determine who lives in them.
So no worker housing can be
Yeah.
designated.
We don't want to get too detailed into that, but that is the initial feedback that we've gotten from town council
Right.
and the housing consultant. So just a little bit of an update on the things that have happened the last 2 years and what staff and housing trust members are currently working on. So as you might remember, we've learned that 4 to 6 units actually are physically feasible in the structure. 4 is kind of the ideal number because it respects the historic building envelope and it avoids the need for and cost of an elevator. In terms of utilities, the well driller expert that I spoke to, I gave him the information that we have on the well. He believes the flow rate is adequate for 4 units. There were test bits done over the summer for the septic. There's a couple viable locations. I did receive a concept plan for a septic located on the property behind the house just a couple days ago. So that I'm working to vet with staff. There's a couple changes we've already identified need to be made, but that's something that we'll continue to work on. And then, of course, the Board of Health will need to confirm all of these things, so that's a piece I'll be coordinating. We completed a topo survey and a wetlands delineation, but because of the discussion about the septic and the location of the septic has changed a little, so we actually need to extend that delineation and wetlands, the survey to the western part of the site. So we're working on a little bit of an additional scope for niche engineering to complete that piece. And then the CONSCOM really needs to confirm the wetlands delineation as well. So that will be built into that. So in terms of consultant support for 2026, as I just mentioned, we'll have a little more scope for niche engineering. I'm going to try to have them price out like what would be the cost of like a full engineered site plan, and I can talk about that more in a minute. And then we have I'm very close to finalizing a scope with our housing consultant. We met with her last Thursday, and so we hope to have those 2 contracts done by the end of the year and ready to get going in early 2026. And then in terms of getting the site permitted before we put it out to bid, we would need to have a relatively detailed site plan and schematic design plans to take it through the local permitting process. So that's something that we...
So on those 2 points, the part that's really important is the schematic plan and have something so people can visualize what it looks like. And so the Housing Trust, is supportive of these ideas so that we go forward and say, here's what's possible. And here's what, if we go with a 2-acre zone, this is how it would all work. And there's access to the bog, so you maintain the conservation values. because it still is the largest conservation property in Carlisle.
All right, and then in terms of work for 2026, just some of the actions. So confirming the site layout, so confirming the septic location, the wetlands delineation, and then where we might relocate parking. So the parking that would be next to the house would be used for the housing, right? And then we would have to create parking somewhere else on the site to support the trails. So figuring that piece out. All of that will inform the area that we propose for the carve-out from the Article 97 legislative action. And so kind of figured all that out in 2026 so that in early 2027 we can submit the legislation for the 2027-2028 legislative session. So in terms of Article 97, one of the big things that I want to try to get answered early on with town council's help is whether we can get a waiver from the replacement land requirement. The guidelines actually have a specific justification that if you're changing ownership of a piece of the property from one municipal entity to another, but you're not changing the use, you may be able to not have to provide replacement land. So I think we have a strong argument we can make, but I want to probe that a little further. If we can achieve that, I think that could potentially speed up the legislative process, but it would certainly reduce costs locally because we would not have to pay for a survey or appraisal of that replacement land. So that's something to try to figure out early in 2026. And then in terms of the zoning and entitlement for the property, so currently we don't have any way for anyone to do this besides the 40B process, right? So there might be a slight wrinkle with whether we can do the friendly 40B while the legislation is pending, and that's something that I would work with our housing consultant to try to figure out. If we can't pull the trigger on the friendly 40B until we have confirmed site control through the legislative process, then we might want to think about, is there something we can do locally in zoning and then we can at least get the permitting process started while we wait for the legislature. So those are two kind of big questions
Right.
that we need to get answered early on in 2026.
The two being the get out of the land swap and can you?
And figure out what the permitting and entitlement process would be for multifamily housing at the bog.
Yeah, I mean,
house.
ideally,
Yeah.
if you do a friendly 40B, then we could talk to all the boards and then be set up for the final approval. That's the ideal way to do it, and that's the kind of easy way to do it. If somebody makes it more difficult, for whatever reasons, we might have to do that.
Are you envisioning doing the permitting, having, as planning director or whatever, doing the permitting yourself, or will you need a consultant to?
We would lean on the consultants to
Yeah.
help us through that process,
Right.
for sure. So we would have the schematics, we would have the site plan, we would have our housing
Right,
consultant.
exactly.
We would, if we did a friendly 40B, it's, the select board and the housing trust and, whatever other entities leading that process with support from consultants and staff. Yeah. So the friendly 40B is kind of the streamlined. I hate to say that a 40B is a streamlined process because just in my experience it's not, but it can be a more streamlined. It's a one-stop shop basically. So it could certainly be easier.
And the idea
Yeah.
is that during this whole process, over the next 3-4 months, we're talking to the relevant boards and going through that whole process in this education
Right.
to get feedback and comments.
So,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so, and then I just outlined some things that we may need to consider for annual town meeting. So there might be a CPA funding request. We need to kind of figure out a little
Right.
bit more about that. To pay for surveys and appraisals, and then potentially additional funds for schematic design and site plan.
that's kind of my question is, when you put those together, what is the cost to the town at this point that you're anticipating?
Well, okay, there's the kind of basic work cost, which is the design, and at least we've gotten sort of estimates in talking to Suzanne Spinney that the architect maybe cost $25,000, and the consultant, we've kind of looked at it, putting at $15,000 is what.
The 15,000 is already coming from the housing trust.
Correct, and so
right?
these would come from
Yeah.
housing, these are coming from housing trust monies. We have $100,000 in the housing trust for doing affordable housing. So the money's there in the CPA, in the housing trust, which has of course been transferred over by CPA. The bigger question, which is what's yours, so we could go through financials, is what happens if we go forward? What level of CPA support might be necessary to make this happen? And we can go through, we've got a schematic slide that shows some of the cost on that. We can review that with you.
For sure. And then there would be a bunch of actions that we would try to line up for fall town meeting, so we figure out the carve out, we figure out if we need replacement land.
Assuming there's a fall town meeting.
Right.
I would hope there would be one if we had these big things to accomplish, but
Right.
that's
But
not
that's
my
fall of-
decision.
The
So-
annual
26.
is 29, is it?
This
Yeah.
is 2026.
26, we're
You
talking
can
the
get
next
20,
4
okay.
months from now, basically.
A lot to
Well,
get
for the
done in
May
that.
town meeting, but a
That
fall
second to-
special meeting would be
Well, no, I got that,
10
Barney,
months from
but
now. No, I was
I'm more,
answering John's question.
okay, sorry. I'm fixing an annual town meeting in May of 26.
Correct.
Mhm.
Is there time to do those 1 and 2 items?
Yes.
In your opinion?
We've
This is
got
the
the
goal.
housing consultant, and we're about to engage an architect, so we can do that. We think we can do it.
I mean,
Okay.
But there's obviously.
we reserve the right to change the schedule, but.
Depends what other boards say to us, because there's
Yeah.
gotta be I mean, the CONSCOM is key part of it, and obviously Board of Health and others. But,
Okay.
Yeah, it is a bunch of work in the first half of the year, right, to get us ready for the second half of the year. But, so there could be maybe 4 actions at fall town meeting, depending on how some of these things shake out, right? And then I do have a slide about 2027, but we don't have to get into that unless you really want to.
yeah, 2026 is the time when we decide as a town and you, that this is really feasible and goes forward. Do you wanna show the financial stuff?
Yeah, for some reason, this is not going down there.
And big picture,
So-
if nothing is done with the cranberry in the bog house,
Right.
we, as a town, either continue to maintain it or remove it or
Correct.
something.
It would become part of your deferred capital maintenance plan, your building
Right.
plan.
We have 2 people living there, but the lease terms is only for 2 years, right? Correct?
There's no lease, so
Okay,
they're
just an understanding.
town
yeah.
employees, keepers of the bog house.
Right. So this slide is sort of the larger financial issue, and just as a schematic of what could just illustrate the challenges. Because this gets to how much is it gonna cost to renovate? And again, I've kind of run this by Suzanne Spinney and other architects, and we've just sort of checked it. But it might cost up to $2 million to renovate. In selling them, and again, what the units would sell for, and these are just to illustrate, you might get $1 million, so there's about $1 million gap. And again, these are the type of things that we'd want to confirm. Now, the question is, how do we make up that $1 million gap? A not-for-profit would help us raise monies, and you could cover a significant portion of the gap. So the subsidy from town, from CPA, we're hoping is under $500,000 and maybe even less. But that's the process that we're going through in the second phase. But that's naturally a question that the Finance Committee and other people are gonna ask is, how are we using CPA funds and how does this happen? And we can illustrate it, but we can't answer it now. We hope by May that we have a much more definitive answer and can go through that and saying, here's what you're getting, and then there's the process. So that's just the money matters, and we gotta kind of go through this stuff, and we can talk theory about housing and everything else, but then how do you make it happen is really the issue, and that's what we're gonna work towards.
Well, at the end of the day, you could always change the ratio of affordable units to cover the differential.
Not in
It's all
CPA funds.
affordable, right?
Oh, you couldn't, you'd lose
Well, right
all
now,
of it
well,
if you.
well, yeah.
I'm just saying, as a worst case scenario, if you didn't raise the $1 million and you need to come up with $1 million, you're saying we're allocating $0 to the land, you know, because
Correct.
we could fund that through, you know, pricing units, but you just have fewer affordable units.
That could be the case, but then there's a whole bunch of issues with the state saying, taking it out of, you know, Article 97, and then we said it's doing affordable, so we have to make sure that those things are aligned properly, and so that's.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in a 40B, there's still market rate in there.
Correct.
So this is a
Right.
40B, I'm assuming you could do market rate.
You could build some
I
across
think
the
it
road.
depends on, I think it depends on how you set this up in your RFP.
Right.
Right.
But I think your point is really well taken.
It would be better to raise the funds if you have donations, and then
Correct.
it'd be all affordable, and people who want affordable housing can donate to that.
Correct.
You-
But there
I'm
are
just saying in
there are
case you
developments that are
didn't do
both,
that.
which is your point.
Yeah, and in case you can't raise the money, you just wanna have a plan B so that the town's not on the hook for $1 million.
Correct. And that's a wrinkle that we'd have to look at. Is there another piece of land that you could build some market
the
rate units
CPA
that's
funds.
not in the blog house necessarily?
Oh,
I don't think we want to go down that route, but.
Okay.
It's
But-
definitely food for thought.
So,
that question.
tonight, what you're looking for is general confirmation that the select board is supportive of going forward with this.
Yes, that we're gonna go through our due diligence and meet with everybody and come up with the information.
Looking for hard no's. If there's a hard no out here, we'd love to talk about it. I've talked about this with the planning board in terms of using Julie's time. My time will be allocated towards sort of the legal side of this, the RFP procurement side, and then we have a variety of staff that would be thrilled to pick up little pieces of this and help us. So it will not interfere with main work, but it will be a good project for us to work on.
I think it's a good use of, you know, it's, in some ways, I hate to be quoted on this, but it's short money for a, you know, project that's affordable housing, and it's has relatively low risk to the town, is what I was just getting
Right.
at. So like, I mean, I think it seems like a good investment if you're trying to build affordable housing without having the town pay for it.
But it hinges on, I must have missed it in our prior meetings, maybe I didn't pick up on it, that we can't earmark any of those units for employees, because that was one goal was to try to get some units for firefighters, so that's come and gone.
That's the preliminary read. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously,
no,
that
okay,
could
I
be.
understand, and then the other slippery slope we have to be conscious of is, to Travis's point, if you go to traditional 40B where one of the four will be affordable, then you're at 3 at market, what have you really done?
Well,
Other
to
than-
John's point at the beginning, you've built 4 new units, and if you're in a housing crisis, just got 4 units.
The people
and you
who
gotta-
afford market are not in a housing crisis, I guarantee you, I think.
Well, but they're more modest units
I get it,
than
I
we have
get
in
it, but
Carlisle.
I mean, I want us to
Yeah.
keep us framed on the social goal. So if we went to 100% affordability and we have that $1 million gap, that's where the third-party affordable housing organizations help raise money.
Correct.
So when you say 100%, it's 100%
No,
AMI,
he means all four.
Well, I understand,
All
but it's
affordable.
30 to 100% of.
because we'd have to stay, if we've already used the CPA funds, right, then we'd have to give some of it back if you win it from market rate.
Were you talking about 100% in terms of all 4 units?
What I meant, yeah, let me be
Affordable.
clear, so
Yeah.
if we design it so 4 of 4 are affordable houses, 30 to 100% of AMI, then yes, we qualify for CPA funds, but not for the whole thing, right? Or yes for the
Yeah,
whole?
Yes.
100%.
Oh, yes for the
Yeah,
whole thing.
we would.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so, I mean, but we're not gonna follow this route, but I think, but Travis, you mentioned it. If you had a mixed development, and if for some reason you had a little bit larger parcel, which the Conscom may not agree with, that you had some market rate houses that kind of were in the 500,000 to $1 million across the street, that might be possible, but we're not gonna pursue that. We're not gonna pursue that. Other development, we're
Yeah.
not gonna pursue that. That has all kinds of problems. We want this to be a win-win rather than
Right.
rather than spend a lot of time
Strike
listening.
that from the record.
Right, no, but I mean,
Taking on a
people do
liability.
that.
Yeah.
People do that. I don't think that's what we're proposing.
Right,
You
so we
know,
had, well,
liability's bigger that you end up.
Right.
And if you do nothing, you're gonna end up paying for this thing like we're paying for the Highland building. And you'd have to either tear it down, which I think that may not fit within our Carlisle character
Well, it's
and
still
things we want
expensive to do that.
Still expensive, so.
Right.
This is relatively short money.
Yes, I agree with
To
you.
explore this.
right, so my point is, and you made it exactly right, that there were inbound to me 3 objectives. Preservation of a quasi-historic building.
Yep.
Fill the missing middle in the housing, and try to get some housing for employees. Can't do the third, we have to work hard to make sure the second one we do, in my opinion. that
Correct.
We don't go down the slope of non-affordable units. Just
Right.
affordable units, that's it.
Right.
And as to the 4 versus 6, your feeling is and safer
Units?
ground if, units,
Housing
yes.
units? Uh-huh.
Not to
I
try
think
to
that's really
squeeze-
the construction of the building. If you want to maintain the historic structure, what's easy to put within
Yeah.
that envelope. Once you start doing more, then you get to a third
Okay,
floor,
okay,
then
no,
you
no,
get to
all right, so you've
elevators.
answered that question.
Yeah.
So it's easy.
Right. And yeah, the well capacity and then the bedroom
Yeah,
considerations,
okay.
right?
Fair enough.
So,
We'll start
yeah,
somewhere.
all
Okay,
those
thank you
things.
very much.
Sure.
That'll work.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it comes down to resource, so if you're saying that the town has resource to support the work that needs to get done between now and whenever, then that's important. And then two, as long as we're not looking at a big another capital project,
Right.
and there's funding sources for this, that's gonna be critical,
And
as
that's-
you've described, yeah.
Yeah, I think that the safety valve for that
Yeah.
is if you had to move to
Yep.
more market rate because you couldn't raise
Yep.
$1 million or find the
Well, It
grant.
doesn't sound like we have to raise $1 million if we
Right,
qualify.
so,
Well,
Which I'm not-
so I don't see any reasons not to pursue this.
No,
Let's
no.
put it
Okay.
that way, Right, like, and
Right,
we'll
exactly.
have to, once we get the information and all the stuff pulled together that people are gonna work hard to get, then we
Great.
can make an informed decision.
And I think Julie and I in particular are willing to put the effort in with the other consultants, talking to all the boards. All these things take work, as you know, it's time and effort, so that's
the
an
concept
allocation
is-
of people's time.
It hits a lot of things that I think are part of our master plan and what the community wants, but often aren't achieved.
Right.
Right.
So if we can make this happen, great.
It's good
I
work.
think
Thank
that's a
you, guys.
resounding.
Okay,
Thumbs up.
okay,
Yeah,
we'll go
there's no vote
forward.
or anything needed, other than, yeah, we support the effort and continue onward.
That's great.
Yep.
Yes.
Awesome.
Okay, great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
So we'll
Thank you
figure
for
out the next,
presentation.
we're going forward with the next steps.
All right.
Okay, thank you
gotta
very much.
adjourn your
Yeah,
meeting,
please
too.
adjourn your
Yeah.
meeting, thank you.
Housing Trust, we want to adjourn our part of the meeting? So-
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Well, I.
Coscriptieri, aye.
Shorey, aye.
Valentine, aye.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Yeah, great,
Exciting.
great work. And
So besides liaison reports, if there's any additional information needed about this, be happy to give it to you. And this probably will not appear back in your agenda until the town meeting warrant article discussions. So
Yeah.
just keep that in mind. It's gonna pop back up, but
Yep.
it'll be worked on in between.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to DPW building discussion. So what's up for discussion and a potential vote tonight is a DPW building committee charter. We previously talked about the work that needs to occur between now and annual town meeting to get to being able to ask for a potential design funding request. If we approve a charter tonight, the intent would be to advertise it over the holidays and prior to our next select board meeting, and to be in a position to appoint committee members and begin that work in January, which, when you look at the time remaining, is kind of a requirement. So
Yeah.
I had sent Gretchen some feedback on what was kind of the standard committee draft, and added some language that I can call out here. One was to be clear that, one was, that we can discuss, I put the number 15 million in total project costs in there. Previously, it had been 20, but I didn't really feel comfortable putting 20 million in there. If, as the process, as it plays out, if it drifts a little bit, we can adjust that, but I didn't want to offer up the 20 million.
Right. So this is saying if it's gonna go
This is
past
just-
that, they need to come back.
This is just the bogey for the
Yeah.
committee to work under, right?
Yeah.
And then I've added some language here just to clarify that what this committee will be focused on is presenting a funding request for the design at our annual town meeting, and if that funding is approved, to continue the work, like the fire station, for project funding no later than 2027 annual town meeting. So there's some discussion if we do that in the fall, a fall town meeting, or I just put language in there to just say the expectation is at the latest we would be the next, just to set the general expectation. But I think the rest is relatively boilerplate, I believe, and then we can talk about the members at this point. Which,
And one, just small little, I think, typo there, number 5 member, it says 1-large members.
no, that, we mean one large member, so
One
my height,
at
or no, I'm
at
kidding, I'm
large.
kidding.
Yeah,
Yes, you're right.
where you gotta weigh in, huh?
No, it
Okay.
could be height. No,
Oh, okay.
there's some hard-to-reach places in the DPW.
Yeah.
Um,
And
yeah.
the next line is, if any of the above boards decline to provide a representative, so, but we've already filled the
You have
the
one
top.
from the MFC. or-
Right,
Yes.
we've got these top
also a
4
select board
filled,
member.
so, but this, I guess, is just
Well, so.
down the road or something.
No, the discussion was, we weren't sure, like, if Conscom, for example, might want to put someone on this at this point, and if they decline, if they say, we don't have or want someone to put on here, you can just do an at-large person in that absence.
Wait, this is in
We
place
need-
of number
we need
5?
one. We need a.
Oh, I see, if well, don't we have we don't have a conscom?
You have to have a constant.
We have to, we have to, because it's in the
Okay.
And
wetland
isn't,
buffer.
It's
isn't
not a
there
voluntary thing.
And we don't have somebody that stepped up from conscom?
No, we need a Board of Health, a conscom.
haven't
We
recruited
have
and an
Board of
MFC.
Health, right, Tony?
No, this is the
Oh,
DPW.
I got the wrong one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know.
sorry, shoot,
We
we gotta
haven't
do this
recruited,
again.
we haven't recruited
We
this
haven't
yet.
recruited.
Right.
Travis has stepped forward for the MFC. Has that been?
Correct.
Yeah, so
Well,
Travis
I don't know
is.
if I haven't been voted, but
Yeah.
I volunteered.
So we
People
could,
were
we could
approved.
strike the language, that last sentence. I think when we were drafting this, we weren't sure who should be on it, and so
Right,
we could
DPW.
strike that language and just have the 4 and 1 at large at this point.
Yeah, I think Board of Health, Conscom, MFC are required, in my
Yeah.
view, would be
yeah,
essential
Okay.
because of the components. I think the fire chief will be involved in this too, because needs a cistern, and there's a lot with the sprinkler system and,
but he could be one of the non-voting members.
non-voting, but I'd like
Do you
to.
want to
have we
indicate
filled
that
the-
down here as a possible non-voting member?
I think he's in
Possibly
there.
the fire chief?
Isn't he in there?
Or his designee? We have the TA or designee and DPW director or designee.
Yeah, you definitely want the DPW director involved.
Do you want to say fire chief or designee?
Yeah,
And that's okay if we have an even number with 5, as long as the voting members are.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
odd, yeah.
You have 5 voting members. Oh, have we filled the fire station
We
committee?
need one more.
So we're gonna be putting this on, not having already filled one.
It's a lot. I mean, we're stretching
Yeah.
these particular
Well, we're
committees.
mandating, well, you've got an MFC volunteer, we're gonna mandate Conscom. Are we gonna mandate the other 2?
I think you need a Board of Health.
Okay,
because
so
And-
4 of the 5 are mandated, so you only have to fill 1.
And I would
Oh,
suspect
the boards
that
have to
they have to
designate
select
yes,
somebody, yeah.
correct. Right,
Right, but it's
Yeah.
not like you have to cast
Fair.
another net while you're.
that's right,
Building committee,
that's right.
'cause remember.
Okay.
So we can strike the language under number 5, specify those 5
Created in a way.
voting members, and then we would have 3 non-voting members, and we would add the fire chief or designee.
Sure.
And then, you know,
Yeah,
if folks are
And
generally
all
good with
key
that, we
members.
can approve it. If there's something we find between now and, we can always amend the charter as needed if we need
I
to.
thought it was fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm good.
And so then this would now then get publicized.
This will
or
get publicized, and
and
we
we
can
ask
recruit
for
some.
volunteers and hopefully,
And our next
in
meeting on the
January.
13th or whatever it is, about a month from now,
yeah.
we can appoint and they can get to work.
Yeah, okay, great. Good work, thank you.
So
Yeah.
do someone want to make a motion to approve as amended?
I move that we approve the MFC, no, it's
DPW.
DPW. Sorry. DPW.
Too many letters.
What is it? called?
Building Renovation Committee.
Renovation Committee
Charter.
Charter, as amended.
Second.
Okay, any further deliberation? Seeing none, we'll just do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay.
All right, we are
Moving along, it's catching
back
up.
on
Cooking
track.
along.
I knew that one might go a little faster. Okay,
Now we're gonna run into a speed bump.
now we
Yeah.
got item 6, the revise the committee creation and appointment policy. And let me begin on that one. So, as a recap, we had discussed a revised policy last week. We had discussed some of the parameters, some of the language.
Yep.
I know, Travis, you gave feedback to Gretchen coming out of that.
did.
I gave feedback to Gretchen coming out of that meeting, and what she circulated was a new draft based on that feedback. We also decided in our planning meeting to circulate the revised draft to committees to get their input. We did receive input on that, and I won't go through all the individuals, but some of the comments that we did hear back I think are all things we've also discussed amongst ourselves, and that was, concerns about the overall size of the volunteer pool, and by limiting it to residents, does that compromise our ability to populate committees? There was a question raised that we will discuss about, can non-residents serve as non-voting members? I believe we discussed this at some level and said it's okay for
Yeah.
non-residents to serve as non-voting members on a committee.
It was what our
Correct,
minutes-
that's
our
in here.
minutes
It's
reflect.
in there and
Okay. Yep.
revised.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's fine. It was more an issue of having residents being voting members. So non-residents would be allowed to serve as non-voting members.
It's not in, it's in our minutes. I'm
Yeah,
not
I-
seeing it under B residency.
It's
It's not in the bylaw thing.
The policy.
the
It's not-
policy,
There was, it appeared twice, so I assume that was an oversight. They're the
No,
same.
one was modified, one was the original and then
So
one
I don't know
was
which is
modified.
which. It's,
The
Better in
first, the
future,
first one, I think, was
Gretchen puts
the
it marked
new version, and the second one was the original, I think. I don't have my computer.
well, Gretchen, it would be easier if you marked.
it had
the
a red
ones
line,
that's-
yeah.
You can go to the vote, to the section that changed, which
Oh, I
was.
know, but that's work.
Uh,
Okay, all right, so you're
Yeah, there were a
saying,
lot of,
if I go to B, residency, 2B, 3B, 2B or not
did
2B?
we go into the cleaner red line?
Well, none of them are red lines, so I can't.
No, you're right, they were in there twice and not, like, it wasn't clear.
What's in here twice, aren't they just duplicates?
No.
No, if you have to go
But I'm
look at it
still
really
not seeing-
carefully.
Yeah.
I'm
to
still
see the
not seeing in the
changes.
residency section, it's silent with regard to non-resident.
So in the
They both-
packet, is the first one that appears the latest version? And the one that appears below it is the,
I don't have it in front of me,
Oh.
but you can
This is-
look and.
There's there's committee appointment 12/16/25 clean file that I'm pulling up.
But in neither one does it show.
Right, and if
that
I.
non-residents could be non-voting members.
Oh,
It doesn't
sorry.
really matter
Where
for
is
this
it?
discussion.
You can
Residency.
also look at the 18 age, because one of them says that they.
Yeah. A person younger than 18 may be appointed to a committee as a non-voting member.
right,
Right,
Right, so we would
at the
also add,
discretion of the,
So I would add under here, we can add the clarification that,
well,
Well, also
maybe,
you've
wouldn't
got-
it be listed under the residency requirement?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
there, but the second sentence has to be modified. Committee members.
voting committee members shall be
have
residents.
And then you should put it in there, like, you can pick, I presume that's still our consensus, right?
Yeah, voting committee members shall be residents of the town of Carlisle.
Right.
Non-voting,
Well, the
Or at the
committee
dis-
may,
Yeah, would we do it the same way as
Does
the
that-
18-year-old thing?
but does that fill a committee? So if a committee has a 5-member committee, what if one of them is a non-voting, non-resident? but
Well, we're
they're-
saying they wouldn't
You have to
be
have
a-
5
they
voting
wouldn't be, yeah,
Okay.
whatever the charter says, like we just did for the
But is that
DPW.
clear on all the charters?
Well, we
'Cause I
probably
just
have to
don't
We'd
wanna-
have
clear
to
it up.
make sure, yeah.
but before we go there, before we go to wordsmithing, I'm gonna step back and just go high level, right?
Yeah.
So, high level, from what I read, there were some pretty good comments.
yep, and I can finish going
All right,
through
go.
these too. So there was the question about non-voting members, non-residents. There was a question from Debbie Bentley about non-US citizens who are residents.
Right.
To clarify,
Right,
are they able to serve on committees?
yep.
And then, let's see, from the ESC, there were concerns about lack of institutional knowledge, and if we were to enact this policy, their request would be that non-residents could serve out their term. And we had talked about, we had had some discussion about if we approve this policy, when do we, either, does it become effective on a certain date? Do we make some accommodation for people sitting on committees?
Right,
And then we,
Maybe that.
right, so,
which we haven't set.
Right.
so I wanna go to what problems are we trying to solve, right? So one problem is, as articulated by Christina, I think, on the ESC, we don't have enough volunteers as it is, right? So why shrink the pool?
But
Another,
also holding on to the institutional knowledge of somebody that's serving.
well,
but
that's a
then-
separate,
But
the
that was
first,
part of.
no, I know,
okay.
but I'm going in sort of.
Okay.
So the first thing is, the pool's already kind of small, so why would we shrink it? That's number one. Number two is, if somebody has either institutional knowledge because they lived in town, or they have
A lot of it.
subject matter expertise,
Yeah,
like, why not take advantage of that, right? And then, I think those are kind of the main ones. And there's a subset of that, which Scott's talking about, which is if you are in town and you are serving and your circumstances change and you move, like, why chop it off at midstream?
How long do you have?
Which also
Yeah.
was reflected by somebody who's stepping off the Trails Committee, or what was the one I got? There was some-
Doesn't matter.
Policy?
Anyway, LSC, thank you, LSC. So, I think, I like that, like, you don't have to go off immediately, and by the way, you could be a non-voting member if you're really committed to. Now, the balancing act on the other side, we said was, it's not really fair for someone who's not gonna pay taxes in town to be making decisions about the town that they don't have a stake in the outcome. That, by the way, would not be the case for the foreigners residents who do pay taxes.
Mhm.
They don't vote, but they pay taxes, right?
Mhm.
So I think, to me, the line of demarcation is not whether you can vote, but whether you pay taxes. So if
Well, and in
you're a
this case, what we're
If
saying-
you're a resident, it shouldn't matter what your citizenship is, I guess is my.
Correct, and that's why the residency requirement is that you have completed, where does it say it? What they're calling the annuals, that you're
Annual street
listed
list.
on the annual street listing, which is determined by having completed the town
It has
census.
nothing to do with your citizenship.
Correct,
And
or
this
you're
is-
voting,
and
frankly.
That's I feel strongly about that, to define residency that way, because that's what's recommended by the town clerk and by Gretchen, the
Yeah.
people who have to validate the process. That's, in their opinion or in their judgment, the best, clearest way to do this.
You may not pay taxes yourself, you may not write your own check.
Right,
But
you
you're
may
in a
rent
household that
you
pays
may
taxes.
rent an apartment.
You're in,
Yeah.
well, it's fine, but
Yeah.
you're paying it through some method, I mean, some way. So I want to just say one more thing, which is there was a comment by a certain individual that said that something like, they don't need to be a pariah by not
Right.
voting. I think that's
Yes.
over the top. I think
Yeah.
the critical thing is, if you are interested in the issue enough and you have something to add and you really want to serve, and you can make that case,
Yeah, that committee.
then serve
can
and help out.
decide.
Whether you vote or not,
Yeah.
it's not that important. So I mean, I come back to where we landed last time, and I think that that's a good policy.
Yeah, and I want to just point out for those that may be listening and are concerned about this, as a liaison myself to a number of committees, I don't vote in those committee meetings, but I go to them and I participate, particularly the ones that are sort of larger and have more programmatic or service provision here in town. And that's those committees have typically really appreciated having the liaison there and hearing their input. So I think the thing about, if a committee wants to have you, they're not going to treat you badly
different,
because
no.
you're not voting,
You're just
right?
recused
So,
from the vote. Right.
Yeah, right.
So in terms of,
How we might change this?
so
Yeah,
just ticking through a couple of the
yeah.
specific questions. One would be to clarify in the policy that non-residents can serve as non-voting members. And we should do that probably in that one sentence, second paragraph under B, residency.
Right.
And we can have Gretchen put the exact language in that works, but
And it would be up to the specific committee to,
Put them forward, and then the select board.
Do we always appoint non-voting members? Or do we?
well, we don't, I mean,
We
Is it-
haven't had to.
yeah. I mean,
Because we
what
haven't
we've done is
distinction.
what we just did for the DPW,
Well, we do the ex officios, no, we do, right? If we say, like in the prior one, that Brian's gonna be on the DPW committee, does he have to swear
Non-voting
himself in, or
member.
just, what happens, like when
It's
Ryan,
a
when
question for the town clerk,
or
but I would
maybe
guess
it's
you
Aubrey.
don't-
I think if
aren't
you
sworn in
serve on
you're
a
not
committee, even
voting.
if you don't vote, you should be sworn in
Well,
because you're.
is that our
you're
practice? Yeah.
affirming, well, you're affirming that I'm there to
I'm
serve.
not arguing, I'm saying, is that what we do?
Right.
Do we make the
Gretchen
chiefs?
know? I know
swear
she
in?
said she was gonna be available for questions. Would she know?
So do we swear in non-voting members?
Yeah.
Or would we?
Do
Right, 'cause
we appoint non-voting members?
Right, and would it make sense for us to appoint them or allow
We
the
already
committee?
do, right? I mean. we've
No,
done
we
it.
don't, not non-voting members.
What did we do for the fire station
We
building?
just say fire chief or designee.
Is a non-voting member?
Yeah,
For like the DPW.
Isn't that an appointment? Didn't we appoint?
yeah,
him?
but it's not somebody who's, there, because they're staff, not because don't live in town.
No, I'm not talking about living in town, I'm talking about, like we formed just now the,
DPW,
did we not just appoint 3 non-voting members? I think we did.
correct.
So we did appoint. Now the question is,
Right.
do they have to go swear? I mean, that's sort of a mechanics. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I think we do appoint voting and non-voting.
I mean, maybe it's a nice thing to do, right? To recognize them
Yeah.
and make it clear that we value their participation.
I think town employees are probably exempt because they're town employees. They
Yeah.
don't need to be, I don't know the mechanics.
Right,
Right.
they don't need to be sworn in.
Right, but
You're already
but
sworn in.
back to the
Do your
central
job.
point, I got a little off topic on the swearing in, I apologize.
Nope. It's a good
It's
question.
more-
This is like so many.
It's more, we appoint them. We still appoint them
Mhm.
by naming them in our charter or whatever,
Yes.
right? So we do appoint, and
But wouldn't it be, aren't we saying it's allowable for any committee or board to choose to have, if they, all of these, the boards and committees that currently exist, they already have their charters established. Are we saying we have to redo those charters
we
and
may
allow
have to
them
go
to have
through them and
non-voting
make it clear.
members,
Well, it
or-
should be in this little policy
Right, in
that
the policy.
in such cases, I mean,
Boy, I think Eric Bayless said it.
we set the voting number, right? Where is that?
That should be in the charter, I would
Right,
assume.
the number
Each
of
charter
voting
should set the
members.
number of voting members.
Right,
And I guess the number of no, I don't know.
I just think that's
That's
up
just
to them.
up to them.
Yeah.
But then does it have to be
Right,
said
does it
somewhere
have to
that
come and get
they can
approved?
choose more if they choose as non-voting? Maybe just leave it at that.
I think that would go into the creation of a new committee section where you're specifying, do you need to specify? I just think de facto, you need to specify the constituents of the, like, what the board is comprised of, how many voting seats and I would
All
assume.
right, so that's a
That's
minimum thing that they have to
I would
discuss.
assume you would just have to do that in forming a committee or subcommittee.
So by practice, you have been appointing non-voting members, but it's generally been staff.
Right.
And although we want to clarify with Ashley, we don't believe in practice, non-voting members have been sworn in.
Does this speak to charter at all? I'm not-
If you want to be really clear, when you create a charter, you should specify whether or not that committee can
Right.
create new non-voting members, or if you want to retain that ability.
What's needed to discuss.
Section 8,
Yeah, I'm looking at
subpoint
section.
1, the charge should include a recommendation for the number of members and their length of terms.
Okay, so maybe we just want to say the number of voting and non-voting, or just say the number of voting members,
Or number of members, in parentheses, voting and non-voting.
however you want to word
No,
it.
because that's still ambiguous.
I would say we want to set the number of voting members.
Right.
You want that to be
That's,
clear.
that's clear.
There you go,
And
number
then
of
if they
voting,
wanna
yeah,
have
just that
four
third line.
non-voting.
You may be
Voting.
parenthetically,
Yeah, and the length of their terms.
non-voting members may be also selected at the committee's discretion or something.
And those don't count toward the quorum.
They don't count towards a quorum.
And you can't serve as a officer of the committee if you're not a voting member, I would assume.
That's also, was that already in somewhere else?
And that was raised as a question as well, or a topic of discussion.
One of the comments was that it seemed that person thought it was reasonable to say a non-resident couldn't be an officer, but they
All
were
you have
making
to
the
say is
case that-
only voting members can be officers.
Did we all get that individually? Did you all receive that too?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Individually and then
Officers.
from Scott?
It already says, each committee shall annually elect from among its voting members
Yes.
as chair.
Okay, which section is that?
It's section 3. It is desirable that each committee elect a vice chair, so you may want to further specify, elect a vice chair, also, I would say parenthetically, or offset by commas, elect a vice chair, also a voting member, to serve in the absence of the chair.
Why wouldn't you just do a blanket? and
Why don't you just, yeah,
No non-voting,
Or
or
all-
voting members can
all
be
officers
officers.
shall be
Or
voting
yeah, in the affirmative.
Okay.
All committees shall elect among its voting members, semicolon, or colon, a chair, or, okay.
The chair.
It's
well-
gonna take a little bit of.
Yeah, okay,
editing,
but we get the general gist. So in the 3, we'll make it clear that
Yes.
only voting members can be officers. In the 8, what's the residency one?
that's
6, I
B.
think it's 6
Oh,
or something. I'm sorry, it's not, 6B residency. We're gonna say all voting members of the committee shall be residents of Carlisle.
mhm.
make some nod to the fact that they can.
I'm sorry, 6B, yes, non-residents may serve as non-voting members of a committee. And do we also want to clarify, per Debbie's comment, that, I mean, it's implicit.
I think
We
it's
could
implicit
spell it
because-
out.
No, but I
It's
mean,
not
the
about-
foreign, the
But
non-US.
it's already, we decided it's already in the census thingy, right?
Yeah.
Right?
I don't think it needs to be said,
Okay.
because it's that, but in, somewhere, either in 6B or in the charter, but maybe easier in 6B, when we're talking about non-residents serving as non-voting members, we might say, the number of such shall be at the discretion of the committee, or something, just to leave it like, we're not capping that. And then when we go down to the charter, we just say, they'll fix the number of voting members.
Yeah. Right, so then the other question that is about, with this, once this policy is finalized and approved by us, if then it means there's somebody serving on a committee who is not a resident, then they need to, what is the, going off the committee, what is that process? What's that timeline?
Right, so we didn't
Or
address.
becoming a non-voting member, what is that timeline? Right?
Meaning the midstream
goes
one, where
into
you're,
effect.
you're in
Right.
midterm and you leave.
Yep,
Are we aligned that we would allow those people to finish their term if they so desire?
Well, go ahead. No, go ahead. No, you go ahead. I defer.
No.
Well, I think there's two things. I think we're in a transition, so we have people sitting on committees. For any non-residents sitting on committees now, do we want to set basically an
Allow them to
effective
finish
date
their-
to finish a
Right.
term? And then if someone were to leave Carlisle, my answer is a little bit different. If you're on a committee and you move, I think there should be the 30 days or one meeting, and then
So you want them off, though? You don't want to let them?
if they're moving, if they're a resident when they got on the committee and
Yes,
they
that's
leave,
what we're
I
talking
think we
about.
should put a shorter term than.
Okay,
the
so
end of
not
the year.
finish your term.
I think to accommodate
Okay,
this
alright.
transition, we can give a longer runway.
yeah.
What's the runway now?
We don't really have a runway.
We don't have one, because we haven't
'Cause
said
we haven't had
this
the-
had
No,
policy
no,
yet.
no, I know, but today, like, people leave, like, you're leaving, like, if you were to leave, like, Kate left, like, how soon did she have to go?
Well, she's elected, so you have-
She's
yeah.
It's
done.
different.
Elected is a
Yeah,
whole
if you're
different
elected.
thing.
I think
Yeah.
in a lot of committees, it's whenever they say, either they say I'm leaving, I can't be on the committee anymore, or they don't, like, and no
Okay,
one.
so you'd give them 30 days or one.
That's
No,
what
I-
this policy says right
Okay,
now. It's
all right, I'm
30
fine with that.
days or the
Or
next,
whichever.
next.
All right, so it
meeting.
already
I think
says
it's
that.
fine, yeah, I
Okay,
think it's fine.
Okay, that's fine.
But I
But
think
do we
what
want to make an accommodation
for this transition, yeah.
Or, like, do we
Yeah.
want to say now, because then technically anyone who's not a resident, it's 30 days and they're off, or do we want to?
So do we allow them to finish the term in recognition of some of the points made that it's, most committees didn't know this was coming or knew it
Well,
was
we can
under
roll,
discussion,
we've
knew
now
it was
made a
coming.
path
Do
where
we
they
allow
can
them-
roll to a non-voting
No,
role.
they're gonna roll to a non-voting member, which is what the policy is.
I think that's the fix,
Yeah,
that, you
well,
know.
that's true, so maybe that's
Like
what
the
we
guy that's
say,
coming
right?
off
You have to
LSC, he could be
become a-
non-voting,
You have
right?
to, the policy as it's written in here, you have to stop being a voting member
You can
as
still
of 30
participate.
days or
We
whatever.
want you to
the- yeah.
participate.
And at any point, you may become a non-voting member at the discretion of the committee.
Well, there's two things. We can do an effective date of like January 1 or February 1, and that would trigger the
Mhm.
language, which would be the following meeting or 30 days from that,
Mhm.
so you could.
We may have to review the final anyway, right? So the final review of this policy will be Jan 13, or you think we're done?
Well, I mean,
We're making some changes.
Well, we do need to, I think because we've made some more than,
We aren't gonna meet till
Grammatical
January.
change.
That's what I mean, so it may solve itself.
Right, I think we need to vote on
Make
it.
it effect, well, we'll vote on it tonight. but-
Oh, okay.
Well, maybe, okay.
That's right, I think we need to look at the final version.
Pending, right,
we also haven't, I mean, I don't know how closely people have read the whole creation of a new committee and that stuff. Like, I don't know if there's a lot going on in this particular policy.
Mm-hmm.
We have limited time on upcoming agendas, so we don't want to
Right.
keep kicking it down. But on the other hand, if,
But I thought we just covered that in the charter, right? There's a charter, isn't
Yeah.
it in the charter section?
I'm trying to think,
Creation of new committee.
there's, it does change the process a little bit. So committees of the board may form subcommittees. So we're allowing,
Oh, wait, what is that?
this is
That's
section
below the
8.
1, 2, 3.
The committees of the board may form subcommittees using the process outlined above, provided that they report to the EATA and board liaison of their activities. So
What's the EA?
Executive assistant, which is Gretchen, yeah.
the board must be notified at a public meeting before the subcommittee begins operations. So it's basically saying, we don't want to approve every little subcommittee, but we want to know,
If you did form,
Create one.
we want to be aware, and
the board, capital B, is select board?
yeah.
Okay.
If there are any concerns brought to the attention of staff or the board may review the subcommittee's charge creation. It basically allows committees to create subcommittees, but there's a feedback loop where we're at least aware, and if there's something that
Looks out of order.
is a concern or
I think
something.
it's okay.
Okay.
I don't really have a problem with it. I think the only edit I would make here is in the first one where we clarify that they're gonna specify the number of voting members.
Yes. That, in one, we would add the word recommendation for the number of voting members and the length of their terms. So we would
Right.
add the word voting.
Right.
Now, it doesn't speak to staggering, right? We're not mandating staggering because.
No, that's in here somewhere, right? There's the general term, the general length of the term. I'm trying to remember where we,
say that they'll seek to.
yeah.
I don't remember, chart, let's see.
C2?
Residency.
Terms of volunteers, yeah. C2, 3 in the whole.
Yeah. Unless otherwise specified in the committee's charge, a term of 3
Staggered,
years
so
and
it's gonna-
staggered,
yeah,
so
all
that
right,
there's some
right.
continuity from year to
Okay, I
year.
think we've covered it, all right. So it's probably good to go.
And we can, it's a policy, right? So
Yeah.
You can always change it.
we can, it's not a bylaw.
I'm good to vote.
I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm good to approve it with the
Yep.
changes
You
as.
saw the 18-year-old
voted tonight?
can still participate, they're just non-voting members.
Right.
Okay.
Good. Excellent.
Okay, does someone want to make a motion to approve as amended?
I move to approve as amended. The committee policy, what's it called?
The policy,
The committee creation and appointment
The
policy.
committee creation and appointment.
is this
Actually, I
effective?
think we have a motion here. Yeah, here it
Are
is.
we making
Approve
this
the
effective
revised
immediately?
committee creation and appointment policy as
Do you want to do it January 1?
Or January 1. 's
Make it
fine.
effective January
January
1,
1.
2027.
2026.
Jeez, I'm stuck on fiscal years now.
Yep.
I second that, if it hadn't been seconded.
Okay.
Any further deliberation? Seeing none, let's do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll get I'll review the edits with Gretchen tomorrow, and we'll circulate the updated.
But we didn't, it's interesting, nobody, Suki's on the
Yeah.
call,
Oh,
so
no,
Shane,
Nope, we're-
yeah, okay.
I want to keep it.
Right on time.
All right, we're moving on
Come on up,
to
Aubrey.
Healthcare.
health insurance now.
Most thrilling.
I want to, so on this one, as noted in the TA report, there's two components. There's what's the select board's level of support for adding this additional healthcare, high deductible healthcare plan?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we want to definitely get to tonight. And then the other piece is this whole funding of an HSA and what that amount would be.
Yeah.
I don't think it's realistic, or we want to get into that tonight, because we just haven't had time and with all the budget discussions going on. So we'll probably focus on the first step and then
Sure.
come back and hash out the details if there's support.
All right. Well, thank you all. As Scott mentioned, we'll focus more on just looking at this high deductible plan. As you know, the premiums continue to escalate, and that's not only an excess cost for employees, but it's also increased costs for the town. So we've been working with Maya on other options that we can add. This will not replace our other 3 options that we have right now. This will just add an additional option for employees. I'll just touch base about the HSA, that contributing to it by the town would just help incentivize.
Yep.
That's all I'll mention with that. What we've modeled is an assumption that the select board approves to continue the 1-step increase annually, and this coming year will be 59% versus 58 in this current fiscal year. With the assumption that this also will stay at 56% with the retirees, as I saw that as one of the votes.
So no increase for them,
Correct, and that wouldn't be effective until January 2027
the increase.
27.
for its retirees.
Oh, for
Yeah,
retirees.
sorry.
They're on a calendar year.
Yeah, okay.
It's staggered a
But
little.
we're saying the current
We're not changing
employees,
them anyway, though, right? Or are we? I'm sorry.
Sorry?
We changing the contribution for the retirees?
No.
No. So it doesn't
It's one of the
matter.
votes that was on here, so I just wanted to touch base on that. If that was part of your decision-making process for the 59%.
but if we include the 1%, keep the 1% increase for current employees, that would go into effect July 1?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So with this high deductible, this means, not surprising, increases the deductible. It makes it so the risk is more on the employee. So if something happens, then they have a lot more they have to pay upfront. But that also can help reduce their monthly premiums, which is, it's tough everywhere, so it's not a surprise. So even if we contributed, we still, as a town, also save annually, so that's helpful. And I think you've reviewed this, so it kind of gives you general understanding of what that would look like. So it's just savings on both ends. And an HSA is also a great option for employees because.
Would the HSA only be to those who chose the high deductible? Or?
Correct. It's part of that.
So let me ask you 3 questions. Well, that was
Sure.
question 1. So 2 other questions. One is, in your experience, what's the appetite for this?
There's been a lot of questions for them. There's
so
a lot of
there
people
is-
who ask. From my understanding, it used to be an option here.
Okay.
It no longer was. I don't know the full history of that,
Yeah.
but folks have been asking for it. There's a lot more. An HSA offers a lot more options than an FSA, which
Right.
we would still also offer.
Let me ask, I didn't ask
Sure.
it right. What's the appetite for the high deductible, low premium?
There's definitely an appetite.
Okay.
There's a
And then you
it's
said, then there's also.
right. It's crushing for
Right, it's
a lot of
crushing.
folks. On
And
their
it's hard to
paychecks.
offer one and not the other. I know that
Mhm.
Scott said we should table it, but to me, they're paired. I don't think it's good conscience of us to allow our staff to get into trouble medically without giving us.
And I'm not feeling very hopeful with the upcoming increases. We don't have an idea yet, but I think it's pretty easy to assume that's going to continue to be high. And it was 15.54% last year, so that's,
So it's
and
only-
so.
It's way outstripping whatever we can do, so.
Exactly, and with that increase last year, even with our step increase in our COLA last year, folks went home with less pay because of that increase. So it's significant. So if people feel that they don't have to worry as much about the deductible or are willing to make that risk, then this lower premium can help them with that.
Right. And there's no HSA option at the present time.
Correct, just an FSA.
Yeah, so I mean, my view is that they're paired. We should pick a ticket as a pair.
Yeah,
If
I
we
mean,
do
I
one,
guess-
do the other.
The high deductible, lower premium plan coupled with an HSA.
Right, but do we
Still
want to
save us.
define, but the other question was, are we
An
gonna
incentive,
contribute,
yeah.
how do we, what amount?
Well, I think you did the math, right, of what we could save. There's some
Right.
options here we can see, so.
Yep.
You can read it. I mean, it's pretty.
So-
Probably did a good job at summarizing it.
The employees, they would continue to have the same savings if we contributed or not. But even if we did contribute, we still would have
We still
savings
save money.
overall. So
Yeah.
it still would be worth incentivizing. I also modeled, let's say 20 individuals and 15 families decided to carry over to this new plan. We still have annual savings no matter how much we contributed. My understanding is that the town might want to look to contribute that much no matter what, whether they match or not.
The 500, 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
They can match with pre-tax dollars?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. But that's up to them. And then
Mhm.
it's portable, right?
Exactly, and they can
It's
invest
not
it if
use
they
it or
want it.
lose it like that.
Exactly, exactly.
Do we offer an FSA now?
We do.
Okay, but that's annual and then if you don't spend it.
Yeah, there's only up to 660 that we allow to.
And what percentage of people would you say take advantage of
Percent, I would say, don't know on the top of my head, there's definitely at least 20 folks that use the FSA, I would say.
that? And we're talking about town and
School?
teachers, right?
Correct,
combined,
correct.
Which is how many, like approximately how many?
So there's approximately 185 employees that are eligible for health insurance. The fire employees technically are eligible, but they would have to pay 100% premium, so we don't have to worry about that in
And
the
how
budget
many
end.
of the 185 approximately, how many?
About 119 are in the health insurance
Okay,
right now.
So we're talking, okay. So
Yeah, that's a
20
good
is like
amount.
20%.
Right, and so FSA is a much smaller amount that
Okay, but
actually
this would be-
use that. Mhm.
So which chart is the relevant one for us to look at?
So,
many charts here.
the biggest one would be looking at the annual savings per employee.
Is that what Ryan has up on the screen?
That's what I'm sharing right now
Oh,
is,
you're sharing.
yeah.
Sorry, okay.
And so, the biggest amount is just looking at how much you want to save versus how much you want to incentivize
Right.
folks to move over. My recommendation is 500 for an individual and 1,000 for a family would be enough to incentivize, but it
Yeah.
also would still have good cost
Right.
savings for the town.
Yeah.
You would still have cost savings if you go higher, but I don't think that's
What's the
necessary.
deductible in that plan?
So let's look back. So this shows that additional option on the very right that we're
Very right.
proposing.
Okay, yep.
So that deductible does go up a lot, but
2,000,
that,
4,000, is that what
I mean,
we're at?
really, that's, when you think about,
Right.
most
Yeah.
plans,
Right.
that's pretty normal,
Right.
right? We have an unusually low deductible on
You
the
have
other
very low
three
deductible
plans.
on the other one.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, that's the thing, Scott, you
Yeah,
expose them to 2,000, 4,000, you gotta give them something.
no, I agree. If we want to agree on the actual contribution, I wasn't sure we'd be able to arrive at the specific.
I mean, I think Aubrey's done a great job at analyzing it.
I like HSAs. I mean, we have one in my company. I think they make a lot of sense. I just didn't know if your numbers had taken into account because you're assuming, what, 15, or you've made some.
So it's not an assumption, so I can model a little more, so I did try to put a little bit of a model here. So if you wanted to move the numbers and see what that would look like.
And that assumes not only the contribution of the town of the 1,500 or whatever.
So this
per-
one, I didn't get as far to add that math into it, but this is if there was no town contribution, but the other ones would be just numbers, just adding to that.
Right, but
But-
the HSA, well, you'd have to put the town contribution in.
Right.
And then divide
And
that, and
so-
I don't think that was in there.
Yes, it was, so
Oh, it was?
that's, hold on, let me go back.
Before you leave the screen, are those rates at the bottom, the total, which is now 59?
Yes, that's the total, this is provided, this is the
of which
analysis provided by Maya.
30-something or 40-something% is what the
Correct.
employee
Correct.
pays.
So, these are the models. So this middle one here on the second page is if, this is what the annual savings would be, or the monthly,
Yeah.
annual savings would be per employee if we contributed 500 to an individual or 1,000, so.
So I'm looking at, give me the
So
number
you would
you're
save
reading.
annually if you
Where are you
contrib-
on this, on the chart?
So this is, the second grid on page 45.
Yeah. And it's
Um,
the middle of the second.
Correct.
Okay, the middle one, okay.
So that top
gotcha.
one is if you didn't contribute at all.
Right,
So
okay.
your savings per individual will be $814
So
annually.
the town saves 300, the employee
Mhm.
pays, this is monthly, right? And then the employee saves,
This would be annual,
oh, annual,
Mhm.
annual. This
So-
is for an individual, not a family?
correct. And then family, the town would save almost $2,200 if they didn't contribute at all. If they
Well-
contributed 1,000, that's $1,000 less per employee, right? So that
Yeah.
they would still be saving almost, the town would still be
So
saving
is
almost
the family
1,200.
analysis in here or not? This is just,
That's the second one. Sorry, it's a little complicated. So that first number,
The three.
here, I'll just get up.
Yeah, well, you can,
Yeah, so the first number
oh, I see, I think.
here
I
is
got it.
individual,
Yeah,
and that's the savings for the family, so that's consistent with all these. So this first one is if you don't contribute at all, second one is if you do 500,
right,
so it's gonna be 500 less than that.
right, I understand, but
15,
show me the
right.
savings per family on the do we only have 2 tiers? Employee and family? There's
Correct.
no employee plus. So show me in that middle grid,
That's
I
that.
see town
Mhm.
and, I
Yes,
see the 300 and the 566.
that's so the
That's-
family would be the almost 1,200 in savings if you contributed 1,000 towards the family.
Okay, so
Not
that's.
because it's an annual.
So it's the
contribu-
second line of
contri-
it?
Yep.
Is that any savers that we're talking about? Oh, I see, it's all one thing.
Yeah.
It's- Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I worry, families who pick this up are, I think, singles are gonna pick it up, because a lot of, if they're young and they're healthy,
Mhm.
they're gonna gamble, okay, fine, I'm gonna do it, right? But it's really the stress is on families. Families that are stressed, are looking to save, they're gonna be attracted to this without any understanding of what they're walking into in the risk pool, right? You know, we do what we can.
Hopefully we would educate as much
You
as
gotta
possible
educate,
for.
but, I mean,
yeah.
the prudent thing to do is to say, I'm saving, I'll use the family example, I'm saving 1,500 a month. I
A
should
year.
put- A year, I'm sorry, I should park that
Mm.
for catastrophic, plus my 1,000 I get from the town.
Yeah.
Now I've got 2,500, I don't have to use it,
But it's there in case.
but I'm there in case, at least the first year. Maybe if I don't end up using it the first year, I leave it and I can use that money, because it'll add 1,000 each year, right? Is that true? It adds 1,000
We
each
keep
year?
offering the.
Yes.
That's
if you-
also
if
up
they-
to the
Yeah, it's
board.
It's up to you annually.
Yeah,
What?
annually.
It'll be up to you annually.
I know,
But
we
there's
have
a
to do
minimum,
it.
isn't that the minimum that you have to do? There's a minimum on an HSA. I think, that they don't offer, you have to contribute. The employer has to contribute.
An employer has to contribute?
think
No,
so.
I don't.
Maybe it's
So
different
that
for
wasn't one of the,
municipality.
we were given an option to not contribute at all.
Zero might be an
First.
option, but then you don't have an HSA. He might be saying, if you
Mm,
get the break of an HSA, there's a minimum.
I don't, that's not what my,
Okay, it might be different from municipal.
Nice, yeah.
But anyway, I think the point is that, I guess, I like it. I think the education to me is, in year one,
mhm.
you really need to save some of that money. By the time you get to year two, if you haven't used it, I mean, we can tell them they'll do what they want, but it needs a few years to build the HSA to the point where they're basically self-insuring.
Mhm.
So what we plan to do is have the Maya folks come in
Yeah.
and make it mandatory that every employee sits with them. They can sign a waiver saying, I don't care about this
Yeah, right.
education, but all we can do is sit them in front of the person.
Yeah, that's all you can do, right, but you make them aware.
And then, reason for bringing it up now is because we want to start.
Yeah, no, I like it. I think it's great.
Yeah, I think that this will be a good option as the pressure continues with the premium increases.
right.
So this can help with that, because again, these are modeled after the current rates, right? So
Right.
this is going to just increase no matter what for all of them.
Yeah.
I think that you're right that folks need to be aware that with those
The
premium
biggest
savings.
risk is the first year, when your HSA account is
Right,
low.
if you don't account for that, those
Later
higher
it goes
deductibles.
down.
Mhm.
And you can use the HSA for, if it builds up to a point where they get a lot of it, they can use it for non-medical.
Yes, you can invest it as well.
You were right.
Okay.
There's no, I thought that there was a
I knew there was, the
requirement.
first
I thought there
analysis
was
was,
a
yeah.
requirement.
Mhm.
Okay, good. No, I'm good.
I
Do
think
we have to vote anything?
Yeah,
Mhm. Let me go back to.
there's a motion in here.
There are three, so it's up to you how you want to.
So,
Hmm.
sounds like you're expressing support for the middle option, which is for the middle grid.
Yep.
The that includes the HSA, specifying the HSA contribution of 500 and 1,000. Is that,
That's my, that would be my, I would follow Aubrey's recommendation.
that's your recommendation, Aubrey?
Yes, it is.
You go with it?
We gotta try something. This is, we're getting
Yeah.
killed by health
Yeah.
insurance.
So we're saying, the second
Ironic.
motion is about the 1% increase in what the town's gonna pick up, right?
Correct, just to
And then the
confirm.
last motion is what the,
No,
what
that's
the
retirees.
town's gonna contribute for those that go on this
No.
option, right?
The last motion is the retirees, which isn't changing.
Oh, you're right. So, oh, I see. So it's the first motion
The first and
where
the
we're
second.
Yeah,
indicating.
it's kind of in reverse of the conversation.
Yeah, okay, all right, but the number that's gonna be filled in here is 1,000 for a family and 500 for an individual.
And then it's up to you if you want to call this one time or, you know,
Got it.
this time and review it on an annual basis.
Yeah, to be reviewed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
that makes
Yeah, maybe we add that language to that first motion,
Sure.
Right.
to be determined annually.
sense. Yeah, you wanna do that?
Yep.
You all right with that?
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you wanna make that.
Oh, yeah, sure. So I move that we approve the additional employee health insurance option and that we include a one-time yearly $1,000 incentive for the family plan and a $500 incentive for the individual plan to a health savings account for each enrolled employee to be reviewed yearly.
Okay, and can I offer a clarification? That incentive is for the enrollees in the new high deductible option, not to all employees, right?
Yeah.
Let's see, to improve the additional employee health insurance option, right? That's,
Well, we should say.
maybe we
move
need to
approve
describe it.
A high deductible, I would say, instead of the
Yeah.
additional, it's
What's-
non-specific.
Is that an appropriate way to?
Yeah.
Higher deductible employee health insurance option?
Yes, that would work.
Okay, so,
And for this option to include.
yeah,
Yes, right.
so to improve the additional higher deduction employee health insurance option, right?
Right.
And for this to include,
For this
right,
option to include a 1
Yeah.
year.
to be
So let's-
reviewed annually.
So let's vote that before we progress.
I second it.
You got all that? I think we got it. All right, any further discussion or deliberation? Seeing none, let's do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
All right.
Okay.
And I move that we set the town's employer contribution
All right.
to current employee health insurance premium costs at 59%, is that what we're saying? Now, do we want to do this now,
It's up to you.
prior to all the continued budget discussions?
So our guidance is, from you, was that you were going to
Right,
increase
wanted to
annually
do
until
this
you
every
get to
year.
60.
Right.
But you do have to reaffirm that every year.
Right. What's the cost of the 1% on the town side?
Was a rough estimate of 100,000, used to be the rough estimate.
20,000.
Okay, that was, sorry. I
It's about a
estimated
$2 million
that.
budget, so
Yes, sorry.
1%.
The incremental cost is
Yeah.
20,000.
But strategically, we're
I think we should
doing
do
it because
We
we think
know
it
it's-
will
We
be
know that it's
employee
important.
retention.
I don't-
Right.
And it will
We don't want
at
them
least
down.
help, even if it's just marginally.
Right, because the
Yeah.
ones who don't choose, or anybody, they're still facing a 20%.
Right. So okay, so we're comfortable continuing with that. So I move to set the town's employer contribution to current employee health insurance premium costs at 59%, with the remaining 41% the responsibility of the current employee.
Second.
Any discussion or deliberation? Seeing none, let's do another voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
And I move to set the town's employer contribution to retired employee health insurance premium costs at 56%, with the remaining 44% the responsibility of the current employee.
It's not the current employee. The current
With the
retiree
response,
of the
remaining
retiree.
44% the responsibility of the current retired employee.
Oh, you wouldn't even say current.
Or I'd say
Of
You're
the
right,
retiree.
of the retired employee.
Is there a second on that?
Second as amended.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Great.
Very good. Thank you, Aubrey. It's good analysis.
Thank you.
Thanks for the
Thank you
work.
all.
Don't leave.
I know,
Right, we
I'm
got-
not, I'm just not sharing anymore.
Remaining
There's
personnel
nothing to share right now.
policies.
Right.
Miss it for the world.
So we had a discussion in our planning meetings on how to address the remaining personnel policies, which are a bit more complex, require a bit more discussion, and I think we agreed on an approach that Aubrey will share.
Yes, so with these last few, and I know it was a lot of debate just for one of the policies the last time, so I
Yeah.
think for efficiency, it'd be great to meet with each of you individually in the
Okay.
coming weeks.
Okay.
And go over those last dozen or so requests. These are more tailored to staff recommendations or requests, so it's really going to have a lot of complex questions from you, and so I'd like to gather all that information and then present to the board as a whole.
So you would send those policies to us in advance for us to
I can do that,
study
and then, yeah,
set
and
up
then
a
we
we
can
meeting.
set up a
one-on-one. Mhm.
Okay.
One-on-one.
I think that would be
So
great.
you're really willing to do that 5 times?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
That's
I
absolutely.
think it's gonna go faster than trying.
Way better than doing this.
Yeah,
doing
in
this
public,
5 times.
right? Oh my gosh, right.
And when you look at our
Yeah.
agendas, it's like trying to slot those
Yeah,
in.
no, it's good. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's great. Yeah, sure.
And what would be your goal, to get those done in January?
I would love that. That would be
Mhm.
great. And then once we have those finalized, we'll have pretty much all the updates. I think there's a couple operational ones that might have surfaced since then that are pretty easy, but I can add that to this conversation. And then once you approve these and they're all approved, then we'll be sending it to legal to make sure the personnel policies are fully updated and integrated, approve that new version, and then that's the new,
And they go into the employee handbook or just be?
that'll be all, yep, it'll completely update that
Yeah, sounds good to me.
handbook.
So,
And all of them, like, for instance, if we were to adopt a parental leave policy,
Sure.
when they would become effective as of the beginning of the fiscal year, or that would be up to us to
I
determine?
think it would be up to you to determine.
Yeah.
I would,
Okay,
It's up to you. I mean,
Yeah.
We would recommend a reasonable start date to give us time to
Mhm.
figure it out.
right,
right,
okay.
right. And I think one of the reasons, because as we have continued to approve policies, there's been a lot of questions from employees across town.
have we dribbled
Mhm.
out the other ones, or are we holding them all for the?
Sorry?
Have we dribbled out the other personnel policies that we've already approved? Have we put them in as we
Yeah,
approve
do
them, or have we
employees know
held
about
it back
those, or-
until
They're
everything is?
generally aware, but it's one of those things where once we have an overall approval.
No, but I mean, if we approved some policy, I don't know, in September.
Oh, if it's effective of that day that you approved it. We
You
haven't,
did, have you done that? Have
we
some-
haven't been fully
Haven't been.
enforcing those until we have this full personnel
So
policy.
today,
update.
somebody looks at the policy, it's mostly.
It's not going to show
Okay,
those
all right. So
additions.
we
yet.
really should get on with it. then.
That's part of
So
the
I would say
urgency.
not necessarily wait, there's no magic to July 1, right? I mean, when you're done, get it out there, right?
Right, and it could be effective the day it's published, right?
The other thing, and I've mentioned this in years past, I mean, you guys have done a really tremendous blast of updating all the policies, financial and everything else. The next challenge after this will be, you gotta get on something like a 3 or 4 year cycle where you pick, say, a quarter of the policies every year and say, we're gonna review them,
Mhm.
right? Because otherwise they'll go stale again in a few years.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That'll be part of our retention plan.
It's like our capital plan. As soon as you're done, start
Yeah.
back at the beginning.
Right.
Painting the George Washington Bridge.
That's right.
Okay? Good, sounds
Good.
Great,
Great.
all right.
We're
Yeah,
dismissed.
thanks,
All right,
Aubrey.
thank you all.
Thank you, Aubrey.
Take the rest of the night off, Aubrey, how's that?
Appreciate it.
All right, moving along. Item 9, review the amended language of H 4414 and act relative to the town administrator of the town of Carlisle. So this has come back from the legislature with some edits that we would classify as non-substantive. A lot of capitalization changes.
From
so-
Mr. Walsh of Peabody.
And who is he? Who is that guy?
Wow, select board's demoted to lowercase.
Yeah, he's a
know.
state rep, isn't he? Or is Mr. Walsh
No, I don't
somebody,
know.
no, he's
Mr.
like
Cataldo
a
is our rep.
secretary?
No, I don't, in any event, so, and Ryan, you can set this up, but town meeting, part of the language included was to allow for, edits coming back from the legislature that did not substantively change the direction or intent
Right.
of what the town
intent,
approved.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, in looking through this, it's all a little bit of technical wordage, a lot of capitalization, lower cases. I don't know, do you want to speak to it at all, Ryan?
We sent with town council, sent the copy of this to the legislature. Legislature reviews this piece. They sent it back to us. I sent it to council. They reviewed it and said this is all substantive. They talked to the legislative council, and they agreed.
Non-substantive.
Non-substantive. Okay.
So what the select board needs to do is approve the new non-substantive changes as authorized by town meeting. This will go back to the legislature and back into the mixer. So we do plan on having your legislative delegation come visit in the next couple months, and this and health insurance and budget and capital and all that should be discussion points, but this should be one of them to get this through. Otherwise, it'll just sit.
All right.
I move we approve the non-substantive changes made by the.
You've got one, right? You want the motion?
Oh, I don't have
Yeah.
it because I'm
Here.
sorry.
No, that's all
Barney,
right.
my
Go for it.
computer completely died. I move to approve the language of H 4414, an act relative to the town administrator of the town of Carlisle as recommended by town council and presented in the packet.
Perfect. Second. Oh.
No, you go.
Okay, Barney
Second.
seconded. Any further discussion or deliberation? Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Mr. Walsh is the chairperson of the House Committee on Bills in the third reading.
There you go. See, he is. He's a state rep.
He's a state rep, yeah.
That's what I said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did Simon have office hours recently? I saw in the paper, but I meant to,
Yeah, they were in the paper.
was it,
I saw
it came in what?
3:00 in the afternoon somewhere.
We missed it probably, but I wasn't gonna go see him. All right, okay.
All right, on to the TA report.
You probably call him, David. He'll take
I know I can.
Yeah.
All right, good evening, everyone. This is my town administrator report for December 16th, 2025. I hosted a coffee hour, as we do every month, in the Parlin Room because I'm running out of places in the public and it's pretty cold outside. But the discussion included questions about tax relief, upcoming infrastructure projects like sidewalks, potential grant opportunities, and general budget topics, which I'm guessing will be topics that we handle heading into the town meeting season. I'm going to hold these monthly because we're heading into that town meeting season, and the next one will be here at Town Hall on January 13th, and then I will start a tour of public buildings, hopefully the police station at some point, but the library as well. If people are interested in looking for information coming into this important town meeting season, they can sign up for email alerts, they can look at our municipal newsletter, and then follow us on our podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. A quick update from our Assistant Town Administrator and HR Director, Aubrey Thomas. So the town continues to work collaboratively with Carlisle Public Schools to streamline the HR process. Town Hall oversees payroll and benefits management, ensuring that employee compensation benefits are handled accurately. We also coordinate with the school to facilitate onboarding and training for new staff, ensuring that all employees have the necessary resources to succeed.
Can I ask a quick question on that? Is that part of our budget? Do we get credit as a town compared to the school? Because if we're taking responsibility off of their staff, similar to with the facilities, is there any monetary?
No, so they have staff that helps in the business office, but we do supplement a great deal of it here.
But we've taken that on, so we've taken off.
It's
from
always been there.
We've always been doing it for the school?
Yep.
Oh.
We're just trying to make it more robust and collaborative. And on that note, to streamline that communication support, Aubrey has formalized points of contact for different HR-related questions and tried to direct staff to make sure that the right person is answering their questions to reduce frustration and make sure we're not getting redundant questions. So we're continuing to work on this collaboration and process to make it better. Adding an HR department has changed the way that we interact here. So it's less employee-based and more system-based, and that's going to continue to grow and improve.
It's great.
Yeah.
Just want credit for it.
In terms of department updates and information, first I want to talk about Gretchen. So she's volunteering as a tap dance instructor for the COHS, but they would like to compensate her for this. She did it for a while for free, and that's great, but they do pay all of their instructors, and we think that Gretchen should be paid for it. However, she needs to disclose that she holds 2 paid positions with the town, and you need to agree. So if you're willing to agree or want to talk more about it, you should vote to acknowledge or not and accept the disclosure that she submitted in your packet.
I move to approve the disclosure by a special municipal employee of financial interest as required by Mass General Law, Chapter 268A, Section 20D, for Executive Assistant Gretchen Gallimore to teach dance classes for the Council on Aging and Human Services.
Second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion or deliberation?
Tap away.
Never,
You
hidden
can join.
talents.
You can
Yeah?
join.
You can, yeah, we could all
Qualified.
go, and you don't
We
even need
qualify.
tap shoes.
the young guys.
Yeah.
We're going to have enough tap dancing to do.
David specifically requested that you participate. I wouldn't let her
boy.
down.
All right, let's do a voice.
Oh, go ahead.
Did you want to say something else?
Nope, I was moving on, but
Okay,
you haven't
let's
finished.
do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, tap
If we
away.
had
Live
said
it up.
What would happen? She said she already did it this afternoon.
Well, I don't think she was getting paid yet.
Not getting paid yet.
Oh, okay.
This had to go, did you see the form she had to fill out?
No, I'm sure.
Yeah,
it's
It's
robust.
ridiculous.
She's a great and ethical employee. I think she's doing
know,
it right
yeah.
by the
Oh,
book.
no, I think
I
it's
know.
terrific, but I just looked at it. and
I had to
thought,
fill that out for the training that, the emotional intelligence, I had to do the same thing.
Yeah, we're trying to protect everyone from
Yeah,
potential claims.
yep.
And we vet it all to make sure that it's legal and it's in.
No,
good
it's
faith.
good. It's good.
So this says that I would have a natural gas contract update for you, but I actually do, and it's really new, so I'm gonna review just what I have now, but I will provide more detailed analysis of this later. So on the last time we talked about this, the price in front of you was $10.21 per decatherm. You authorized me to pay up to $11, and the next day it spiked to 10.87. So our advisor said that we should hold off and wait until there was a break in the weather. The next update for
It's coming.
the January pricing, it spiked again to 11.84.
Not our friend.
However, the last 10 to 14 day shift in the market, and I don't understand the market forces, but it dropped because of the weather, tumbling down to 10.984, and we locked it in right there because we do think it's going to go 11.12.
Okay.
So it's still within your guidance, but not where it was, and I will provide you more evidence. But we did sign a contract
All right.
to lock us in.
Okay.
And a special thanks to our consultant who's all over it. All right, some budget updates. We talked a lot about that tonight. This update was really to inform you that we're going to be doing tonight's update, and I would advise people to go to the town administrator page under budget information, where we're posting all the analysis and information that was presented tonight in a, we hope, a neat and coherent way, dated so people can understand where we are in the budget process. Also, I provided you with a significant amount of health insurance discussion background. You did go over that tonight, but for those who are listening to this report, the budget projections assumed that the board would continue the 1% increase, which you did tonight. This is on the town contribution side, which lowers the impact on employees. Your stated goal is to continue to increase that until you hit 60%, which we did a comp analysis of area towns, and we are very low even at 60%. So this was something you decided a while ago. We also wanted you to consider a high deductible option and a potential ASA for people to switch to HSA, sorry, to lower their costs in premiums and lower our exposures in premiums, and you did that tonight. So for those looking for more information, we will be putting that out publicly and also discussing with all our employees those options. And lastly, about insurance, Aubrey's going to put together a proposal for an insurance advisory committee, which is a very formal investigation of our health insurance. If prices are going to continue to be 15 to 20% increases, then we do need to, in good faith, look at our plan structures and potential savings that might come from our plan structures. This is not going to be an easy thing. There's unions involved and employees, and the IAC is typically a look into that and a negotiation, almost like a union negotiation.
But is it made up of outside subject matter experts or?
It can.
Or
So
internal people who volunteer?
we'll be looking for select board, finance committee, and then we'll bring in our consultant and anyone else that wants to inform it, and the unions will have reps, and so will the non-union people.
Okay.
But we gotta look at it. Health insurance is crushing us. So the high deductible option is something we can do because it's just an ad and no one has to do it. This type of change is looking at things that would be forced upon employees, both good or bad, and that needs to be discussed and then eventually bargained with the unions and the non-unions in some sense. For a capital project summary and timeline, I submitted a document in your packet, and I encourage people to look at it, but it tries to capture the timeline for all of the big capital projects that are going on. I'm going to continue to update this and use it as a reference document, because people keep asking, when does construction start, when is design? So it does help you see that, and I will refine it as details evolve. We finalized the contract for the elevator modernization project with New England Builders and Contractors. We expect this project to be completed within a 1-year time frame from now, and the FY27 budget includes the initial cost of this borrow, which is interest only, and FY28 will see the realization of all the costs. The town hall bathroom renovation and mechanical room expansion, we signed a contract with Fort Meadow Builders and are working on a timeline for restoring and rehabbing all 4 town hall restrooms. Right now, it's in the permitting process. And although the MFC agreed that the contractor for the town hall mechanical room expansion was highly qualified, they chose not to proceed with the contract because of the cost, over $50,000. So instead, the facilities team is going to complete most of this work in-house using overtime and some of their skills and outsourcing the plumbing portion. So that should reduce costs for that project. It does put a little stress on the facilities department, but we're going to make sure that they're compensated properly. That'll help us save some money.
This is staff that are gonna do the work.
Yes.
Not the committee.
I
Okay.
wanted to say, Steve Kinnearney stepped up to volunteer to do this. And he's not volunteer, he's gonna get paid to do it,
Right,
but he's
but
gonna
it's
actually save the
additional
town
hours.
some money
Yeah,
in the,
Right, great.
that's impressive. That's
All right, some
appreciated.
CPA project updates. The main one I have for you, or a couple here, is Cranberry Bog Dam number 1 repair. They did the ground penetrating work to look at the burrowing and the animal disruption that's causing some emergency necessary repairs. So the GPR is done, but the weather is, we're gonna get to it when we can, when the contractor can fill in some of those holes and finish that project. The CHAT met with you tonight to talk about the Bog House. You're well informed on that, and we'll put out information for the public. Also, the Benfield keyless entry system. Our facilities department worked with the vendor to install new main building entry system and individual apartment entry systems. The project's now complete. We went and saw some final issues that residents were having. Some of it was training the residents to use it correctly, and others were just simply not working. So we identified that. Stephen's working with the vendor to make sure all of that is good to go. There is some user hesitation with the system that we're working on, but it's more of a training issue, and it's really Noah's issue, but we're trying to help facilitate that because these are our residents and we care about them. In terms of building construction projects and updates, I attended the police station renovation building committee last week. They decided not to reaffirm not doing alternates 2 and 3 on the project, which was some heating in the garage space that they don't think is necessary at this time. They also received a report from CMS that the dirt that is known now to be dirty has been exported. About 30 truckloads of dirt were taken out of that area. They do expect the cost of that to be $30,000 to $40,000, and there's probably conservatively 2 to 3 times more dirt, depending on
This is from Daisy's contamination?
from the contamination that was there. We're hoping that the end cost, and we do believe with the conservative estimate that the end cost would be under $100,000, and that'll come out of your contingency. You also have to add the consultant that helped with this project, so we're still on track. The contingency is still intact, and the project is moving along at a good pace. Fire station renovation. CMS and Tecton continue to work through the design process, and I initiated contact with the new fire station renovation building committee to get them up and running and hopefully appoint a chair so that they can take over that process. Tecton and CMS are moving. Your building committee is going to meet them at some point, and then they'll start working together. But design continues even while this committee is getting assembled. Their main goal is going to be to finalize the conceptual design and to socialize the permitting process with the various boards, as you detailed and know. Some discussion topics that are upcoming. You're going to continue to review personnel policies as you discussed with Aubrey tonight. You have a goal review on your schedule for January, so make sure you're thinking about that over the
Or
holidays.
select board goals.
Select board goals.
Yeah.
Previous goals, yeah.
Yeah.
And those will inform my goals, so I care about them. So please do a good job. Your CPA wants to come in and discuss long-term CPA approaches. You heard a little bit of that tonight during the budget process, how to allocate the funds that are available, what CPA should be in the community. Those are good conversations to have. And as I said to you before, your legislative delegation, we have one scheduled with Representative Cataldo in January, and Senator Barrett has agreed to come in March. So you get to meet
Oh,
with both of them.
good.
We reviewed and approved a bunch of signs in the Rotary and on town land that you can review. None of them violated your policy, which is good. And for staff recognition, I've got a couple to recognize here. Sandy, our treasurer collector, renewed her certified municipal treasurer certification and municipal collector certification. These are 5-year professional certifications. They require her to go to school and continue to be a subject matter expert in the concepts of treasury and collecting at a municipal level. Sandy is one of our financial foundations. Just her presence and her skill and her ability to guide all of our financial operations. Over the past year, she's worked not only to fund and support all town operations, but to analyze borrowing strategies and provide transparent financial information needed for you during these proposed major capital projects. So I bring a lot of this to you, but I vet it with her heavily, and she's involved in the entire creation of it. Having her in this role is a tremendous asset to taking advantage of her experience and strength. And we are working to make sure that post-Sandy, we have that same level of qualification. So that's part of our sustainable plan, but I don't think she's replaceable, so hopefully we can figure that out. And then your DPW Director, James Hall, recently completed a 7-module Massachusetts Qualified Tree Warden training course, which sounds riveting. He knows more about trees, and he keeps pointing them out to me, and I told him to stop because it's too much. The trees are too expensive to remove. It is designed to educate tree wardens about what they need and how they can fulfill their duties, and there's a lot of things in Mass General Law that are related to being a tree warden. So it's a credit to him that he sought this out on his own to increase his knowledge, and of course the town will benefit from the certification, and now that we know that it exists, we'll demand that future gyms take it, so.
MQTW.
Hammer, it looks like a nail.
All right. Some dates of interest coming up. I am taking our a little afternoon holiday professional development with the staff on December 18th, so we're having an early closure here of Town Hall. And then there's some closures over the holidays.
Thursday, right?
Is that professional development?
Yes.
16, 17, 8.
I'm thanking my department heads for their
Right.
valuable contributions to the town. And then your meetings in January are on a regular schedule, unlike this month, so the 13th and 27th. I will hope to send out a draft after the chair and I discuss it tomorrow so that you can see what's coming up in January so that everybody can see it, because there's a few weeks off here. So want to make sure you're informed.
A draft agenda of the next meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's our timing, Scott, on the goals and the evaluation?
All right. So you should be scheduling appointments to meet individually with Ryan now, and then you owe me your scoring and summary paragraph on, let's see, what did we say? We would present it on the January 13th meeting, so I forget the exact date, but it was I want to say January 6th might have been the date we
It's
talked
like
about.
a week before or
Yeah.
something? Okay.
So you need to meet with Ryan, finalize your review, and then send me your paragraph and scores by the 6th of January.
And the form is the
6th.
form that we've seen, right?
Yes.
Okay.
What's that?
I'm just thinking, that's like the day after I get back.
Yeah, me too.
Well, you can, I mean, as long as I have it honestly by the end of that week, that's fine. I don't have to do too much to it, so.
Do you need that evaluation of him before the holiday here?
No,
No.
I don't need it,
Okay.
but you should schedule your,
When are you here, Ryan, between now and the 23rd?
I can make myself available, but I'm here next Monday, Tuesday, and then I'm off until January
January what?
5th.
The due date.
The 6th is due.
Oh, okay.
no, you can have.
Book
the
him
end of
up
the-
on
you
the
can Give you
5th.
the end of the week,
Yeah.
the 9th and
Yeah.
the 11th if you really want. I mean,
Oh,
Okay.
my.
Now, if we can't find that form, it's,
I can resend it out.
yeah.
Be good. Why don't you-
Ryan sent it out with his self-evaluation.
Oh, great.
You did.
Okay.
So
I
we
didn't
have
get
it.
to
Same
that.
as last year.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
And
So it came from Ryan, so I can find the Ryan.
Yeah.
When did you send that,
I know you sent
Ryan?
yours out,
A
yeah,
couple
last
weeks
week.
it was after Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
so it was the around the end of November.
It was a week or so late, so
Yeah, we're
Take an
gonna,
extra
that's
week.
gonna affect your score.
take an extra week if you need to.
Well, we have to take an extra 2 weeks. Just endeavor to schedule your time with Ryan.
Soft review and goals, all right.
Two if you need to.
Okay.
All right, we need to do the
I can find an hour.
minutes?
Yeah, let's do the minutes.
Yeah, review of, okay, with that done, let's move on to the review of warrants and minutes. We have one, December 2nd, 2025 minutes.
I move to accept as written.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion or deliberation? Seeing none, let's do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Liaison reports. Anything to report from the field?
Not a lot. We did have a TMSC meeting and pretty good discussion. I did meet, this might be interesting to Mark, Wayne and I met with the Whalen folks, because they're sort of leading the charge on remote participation.
Oh.
And we had a pretty interesting conversation, and, you know, there's a lot of good ideas. It's a slow process, but there's some grassroots kind of wake up of, you know, can we do it smarter? Can we use remote? Technology's there.
Like Zoom?
Yeah, Zoom.
Like that type
Essentially
of-
Zoom, right. Essentially Zoom. I mean, the guy, I have to review his presentation, but he's presented to League of Women Voters as before. He addressed a lot of the issues.
One signature.
So they're out there. I think our town moderator is not a fan, so there is that. But generally speaking, I think, you know, there's beginnings of a groundswell to say, look, this is kind of silly, like we should be doing this more.
Is Wayland planning to, or have they started?
Well, it's this long, multi-year process, you
Uh-huh.
know, with the legislature. It's not
Yeah.
anything quick, but
Oh, you have to go
there's
through the
innovation.
legis-
Oh, yeah, but
Yeah,
there's
of
innovation,
course.
and the interesting thing is that one possibility is sort of a pilot program. You pick a few towns, you run a mock town meeting, like it's not real town meeting, it's mock, and you see if everything works. Then you kind of run in parallel. I
Do
mean,
a
you got a
mock
whole
town
like a
meeting?
thing going on
Lordy.
to get everybody.
Oh, fun, Ryan, fun.
No, but I
Just
mean,
for
it's,
fun.
I would say it's an interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I got a lot out of it.
MBTA warrant.
Yeah. Anyway, that's enough of that. Thanks.
All right, well, that'd be interesting to see how that progresses. Anything else we want to go over tonight? Okay, lastly, any remaining community input? Susan, I see your hand up?
Hi, yes. So, as you know, I sent you a bunch of emails,
Yes.
and so watched your vote tonight.
Yep.
And so I'm a little confused as to how things are going to happen because I'm vice chair of LSC, and with this residency and resignations, that drops our membership down to 7, and our charter says 10 to 12 voting members. How are we going to handle that between our next meeting is January 13th, but there's holidays and all that stuff. So I know this is just community input, but maybe just something for you to think about.
So you're,
And it also then throws our subcommittee into a bit of a mess.
yeah, Suki, you're saying that, your current number of members is 12, but you already
No.
have, pardon?
Our current number is 10.
I mean, that's what your charter is,
Our charter says 10 to 12,
10 to 12, and
and,
okay,
and we have 10 right now. But if Brian has to leave due to residency, Warren will be leaving due to residency, and Judy is planning on resigning.
so you're gonna lose 3 members, 2 from the residency requirement and 1 as a resignation. So you're gonna have 7, and you'd need 6 for a quorum. Is that what you're concerned about, the quorum?
Well, but I guess our charter says we're supposed to have 10 to 12 voting members. So how does that affect our legalities and stuff when it comes to making decisions and our actions?
Well, whatever number of members you have is, you don't, you're not required to have the 10 members as your charter defines. I mean, right? I mean, you can have,
You need a quorum.
You need a quorum.
but not of
Stress
10, it's a quorum of the people that have been.
Well, I mean, I think she's bringing up
sworn
a
in to
good
be on
point
the
that maybe
committee,
we
though.
have to circle back on our policy that,
Well, right now, if it's effective January 1, they can have their meeting in January.
well, that's her specific situation, but if we expand it to the more abstract,
Yep,
if the charter says, we use a simpler number, say the charter says there's 7,
right.
and then some people resign, like, we haven't addressed that at all. Like, do they have to stop meeting, or can they meet and
Well,
fill?
Not to go
And have a
quorum.
lower quorum, I mean, with the.
I did a quick in between, your vote and now, I did a quick, Google search and stuff, and it said that not meeting your charter does put some of your decisions and actions legally at risk.
Is that per, like, statute, or you mean just if you haven't addressed it in
It's open meeting law.
Open meeting.
in open meeting law?
Hmm.
So you need a quorum of voting members.
Right, we establish the quorum, or we establish the number of
No, but-
members. And
Well,
if you
Conscom
don't,
in that case did.
but if you can't get enough members for that committee, then you can't,
No, but if your charter says 7,
yeah,
and and your quorum is 4,
yes,
then 2 resign,
Right.
yes,
is your quorum still 4?
Number of voting members.
yes,
It's still 4,
Yes,
even though
it's
it's
still
4 or
4.
5 now.
yes.
And then
You have to get new members.
you have to go get some new members, but you have to meet the quorum.
Yeah.
And is that OML? In other words, it's not that you can't meet if you have fewer than, you just have to meet with a quorum. It doesn't, I think I'm answering my own question. If the committee is down from 7 to 5, but it still meets the 4,
Yeah.
it's okay. It doesn't matter
As long
that
as you
two
have
is more.
4, you're still meeting quorum.
Okay, you're still meeting quorum, so that's that.
So,
That's the
Suki, does that make sense then, that, so your number is 10, so you'd have to have 6 to have a quorum? And so if you lose
Okay.
3, it just means every single member that
Except
is
one.
left has to,
Well, 6 of
This
7.
wouldn't impact the
Either.
first meeting in January because. if
right, we've allowed that to be.
Right.
I do think in that example, though, that it's ambiguous, 10 to 12
Yeah.
members. You should,
We shouldn't allow a range. We should
No.
probably
Yeah.
make it
Right.
clear
Yeah.
in the policy that it cannot be a range. It needs to
Right,
be a
needs
number.
Fixed number,
I
yeah.
think it
Fixed.
says a number of voting, so I would say a number's not a range.
Right.
Right. Somehow they came away with it, right?
But I think it's something we'll have to get in touch with Conscom about, because didn't they write the charter? Or who,
It's your committee.
it's our
it's
Okay.
our committee.
We approved it.
LSC wrote the charter, but Conscom, I think, approved it.
It's a subcommittee.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't think
LSC is
we-
a subcommittee?
Yeah.
Or is
Yes.
it-
Yeah, it's a subcommittee of the
But wouldn't it
Conscom.
be on this policy, all those are supposed to come up to us now.
Right, but
Right.
that's.
Now,
that
but-
Now.
Now.
You are the LSC appointing authority,
All right. Well, anyway, we should clean it up.
We are the appointing authority?
because
So
you're the
can we
appointing
clean it
authority
up in
of
real time, like in January, so that we get Suki out of the box? that she's
Yeah.
in?
We'll put that on the chair.
What do you want me to do? I
We
mean,
should review the LSC subcommittee charter and make sure it says 10.
at our January 13th.
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah, yeah.
Sure. But they can meet at they can have their
They can
January
meet.
with the existing members. 'cause-
They can meet with the existing members, but we should clarify it's 10,
Yep,
not 12.
unless we want it
Unless-
lower, like 10 is
Or
lower.
Yeah, I mean,
Lower,
that's
make
the
it
other
lower.
thing, Suki, you could, I think you should be involved in the discussion about the review of the charter and just see if it makes any sense to lower it.
Yeah, why is it so many?
I can't remember, was it 10 because there were just a lot of people that wanted to serve?
Yes, I think at that point, yes, we had
Yeah.
quite a few people.
'Cause that's
But we
pretty
lost
big for a
one
committee.
to,
Yeah.
huh?
It's big
We
for a
lost some
committee.
to, I mean, Dwight went to the planning board.
I would,
And even numbers are not great either.
Right,
well,
it's
I
better
would
to- yeah.
actually even think in our policy, we should say the maximum number is 7.
Well,
Why
we
make it
could-
so big.
To,
Why even let it get big?
to add a little
Now,
context, this is a working
our-
board, so they do need more membership because they
They have a
do
lot of
stuff.
people
They're not
that
on
like-
policy.
Yeah.
All right, fair
Right.
enough.
I'd be reluctant to set a max.
Yeah, I
So
would
don't say
too.
that. Okay,
But
fair
if you
enough.
set it to 9, you need a quorum of 5. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
even if you lowered it to 9, from 10 to 9.
Yeah, you could do that.
Well, and it sounds like they may have people who are on the committee who are not voting members too, so they'll
Right.
still have people who can help out doing
right.
if it's a
Yeah.
working
They
board.
want to hit their quorum.
Right,
Okay.
okay, all right, got it. Thank you.
So,
But that's
So-
helpful, thank you, Sue.
short answer is you can proceed with your January meeting as you would before. This wouldn't take effect till after that meeting. And in our January meeting, we can look at revising the number of committee members to assist with the quorum and just your membership overall. And do you want
Okay.
do you want to talk to them about just triangulate on what the right number is? And
Yeah, Suki, when is your first meeting in January?
Our first meeting is the 13th also.
our night.
Oh. That's one of the problems.
Well, you
That's
can
why
get the
I haven't been
input,
able
but
to
you
go.
can get the
Yeah,
input.
let's just see what the right number is.
Okay, Because you may want to talk it over with the rest of the committee, right, Suki?
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
We could also have the
So maybe
27th.
we do it
meeting.
at our
Do the
meeting.
27th, yeah.
Yeah, the second
Suki,
meeting.
your following meeting after January 13th, are you anticipating meeting again in January, or do you think?
No,
Because we're going to meet
not,
again.
we don't usually, no.
Because we can meet on January 27th and make any required adjustments
there you go.
after that meeting, after your meeting in January.
Okay, I mean, I can see if we want to change when that our next meeting is, or what.
Yeah. And you can also, explore with Warren and Brian, would they continue on the committee as non-voting members? If they want to and you want them. So.
Yes, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
All right, well, thank you.
Appreciate it.
thank you.
Any other
I'll be in touch, Suki.
Any other community comments? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Aye, second.
All right, voice vote.
Oh,
Aye.
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 Aye, aye.
All right.
Hey, you finished early.
4 minutes.